Greetings. I hope all is well. I hope your day is going well, your afternoon, morning, wherever you're at. I just hope you have an overall great day. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Again, please hit that like button. Also, share, also subscribe. Also, make sure you go to dynastymir.com. Again, please visit dynastymir.com. And as you enter the chat room, hit that like button. Again, please hit the like button. Tours, we're still rolling to Nigeria next month, August 8th through the 17th. August 8th through the 17th, we are rolling to Nigeria. So if you're interested in joining us in Nigeria, please hit me up. Again, please hit me up. Visit Danfo, 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 DANFO Africa. Link is in the chat room, and I'll also put the link on the screen. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO Africa. Also for the gear, make sure you visit Ileamir, ILEAMIR.com for all of your gear, your prints, you know, all that good stuff. So go. How do you get over fear of flying? You know what? That's funny, African millennial. It's weird. Like, I kind of get nervous when I fly now. I don't know why. I'm not a big fan of flying anymore. It's very weird. That's very weird. That's a good question. But you have a fear of flying? But back in the day, I had no problem. I had no problem. I don't know who's Kazo. I don't know who that is. Who's Kazo? I don't know who that is. But yeah, it's funny. Like recently, like flying, I try my hardest to fly business or first class so I could be comfortable. But I'm not really a big fan of flying like I used to be. Again, I don't know because I fly so much now. I don't know why, like because I don't know if it's because I fly so much now that, uh yeah, I'm somewhat used to it. Because I remember back when I started going to Africa, I would go um once a year, and that was during when I had my vacation when I was working in corporate America. So I look, I was ready to get on that plane at the airport, whatever. Now it's like flying is, you know, I mean, I used to be excited. I mean, I get excited now. Don't get me wrong. I get pumped up. I get excited now to go to the airport and fly, but now it's just like, it's just gotta get on the plane, to get on a plane. But I mean, I love flying, but now I have to fly. Like, listen, I have to fly first class or business class. I have to fly first class or business class. Back in the day, you could stick me under the plane. I could sit in the bathroom. It didn't matter. Now it's like I have to fly first class or business class. Like I have to fly first class or business class, just to be comfortable and all that. Like I have to fly first class or business class. But like I said, back in the day, you could stick me under the plane, stick me wherever. But now I gotta fly first class. I have to. I gotta spend the extra money and fly first class when I fly now. So it's changed. It's changed. But like I said, back in the day, get on a plane, just stick me wherever. Just put me on the wing, cockpit, bathrooms, toilets, stick me wherever. But now I gotta fly first class. I have to. No, I actually had more money then. I had more money then. Like back when I was working at corporate America, I had more money then than now. But now I gotta fly. Like I said, I just for me just to be comfortable and lay out and watch the TV and lay back. I gotta fly first class now. Is bad juju to sit in front of a doorway like that? What you talk about? Yeah, Delta has a good. I mean, see, to be honest with you, when you sit when you sit first class, when you sit business class, in a majority of the planes, it's like it's the same. Again, first class, business class, majority of the planes, it's they're pretty much the same. It's really about the food. See, the food could be hit or miss. Again, the food could be hit or miss. The food could be hit or miss. That's the problem. You'll fly first class, you'll pay the money to be comfortable, but then the food will be terrible. Again, the food could be hit or miss. That's the only problem. I've had some great experiences on first class because again, first class pretty much the same layout of plane, layout of your personal cabin. It's pretty much the same. It's about the food, and sometimes the food could be a problem. So, but you have that. So you have the first class benefits. Then you have access to the lounges. I love flying Delta. I love the sky lounges. I love the sky lounges. So when you fly Delta One, you automatically get access to the Sky Lounge. I love the Sky Lounge. The Sky Lounges are pretty cool. And it really depends on the lounges too, because sometimes in some of these lounges, the food's not really that it's really not that good. Sometimes the food is good, and sometimes the food you might as well eat cafeteria food. I don't know who Keizo is. Yeah, I don't know who Keizo is, but guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, share, subscribe. Tour Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. That's for Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. Then we're rolling to Nigeria, August 8th through the 17th. With that being said, guys, hold on. I want to reference a couple books real quick. We're gonna jump into the topic. I think everybody should pick up these two books. You could read them. You could download them on Audible and listen to them. First book, Liberty Brought Us Here. Liberty Brought Us Here. The true story of American slaves who migrated to Liberia. Great book so far. Excellent book so far. So I would definitely pick that up, download that. And then also, I would recommend getting, before you watch this propaganda film that's coming out, The Woman King. Again, before you watch this propaganda film called The Woman King, I know they're going to mess that all up. Hold on one second. Get Barracoon, Zora Neale Hurston. I'll recommend getting that book as well. But, this common narrative when it comes to Liberia is that, then I'm going to open up the lines here in about 20 minutes. But then also, Elvis, I'm going to get into that. Again, I'm going to open up the lines in about 20 minutes, but we're not going to be here long. I don't want to be here more than an hour, hour and a half at the most. But the common narrative, right? And I've been traveling all over Africa, and when it comes to Liberia, the common narrative is that the Americos forced the indigenous tribes to change their name in order to integrate. And I'm calling BS on that. And the reason why I'm calling BS on that is number one, really, that's not necessarily true. Number one, it's very common. So when I'm in Africa, I'm here in America, and I run into an African, and they tell me their name and say they got a name like Larry or Mary. And I'll ask them, what is your African name? And then they tell me their African name. And then I'll ask, Why are you going by Mary and not your African name? And I've heard excuses from it's easier to pronounce. I've heard excuses from this is my Christian name. So Africans have always been using these Europeanized names. I mean, since they first came in contact with Europeans. Let's take it further. The number of African kings that I've met who've had English names. And they have no problem going by these English names. No problem. But then I want to get into two examples, King Joe Harris and King Bob Gray. So guys, we're going to start off with King Joe Harris. Okay, guys, I'm going to share the screen here in a second. But I want to start with a Liberian king by the name of King Joe Harris. And he had adopted this name he had adopted this name not because of the Americo Liberians. A lot of Africans changed their names, especially a lot of African kings. They changed their names to English names once they started trading with the Europeans. So when the Europeans gave them these English names, they had no problem adopting it at all. Again, when the Europeans started trading with African kings, a lot of these African kings had no problem adopting the English names and being referred to by their English names. No problem at all. No problem adopting these names. King Alfonso did it when he became a Christian. When the Christians came to Africa, when the Christian missionaries came to Africa, Africans had no problem taking up a Christian name. No problem at all. I don't see anyone outraged. I don't see anybody upset. They had no problem at all adopting these names when white people gave it to them. There we go. That's key. When white people gave Africans these European names, they had no problem adopting these names. This is my Christian name. I want to get into King Joe Harris real quick. Here we go. I want to start here. Guys, what we have to understand about Americo Liberians, the free slaves who went to Liberia, also the free slaves that went to Sierra Leone, they were the first abolitionists. What I mean, they were the first abolitionists. You have to understand when the Black Americans went to Sierra Leone, Black Americans went to Liberia, Africans on the continent were still fully engaged with white people and complicit and participating in the slave trade. Again, when the Black Americans who first went to Liberia and Sierra Leone, when they went there, except for Sierra Leone, when they went to Sierra Leone was actually a country where slaves who were intercepted by British ships, they were brought to Sierra Leone. But the slave trade was still going on. Again, the slave trade was still going on when Black Americans arrived to Liberia. They were fully engaged in the slave trade to white people. to the point where a lot of these African kings who were engaged in the slave trade were taking up and adopting the same European names as the people they were selling Africans to. So I wanted to start off, we've talked about him before, King Joe Harris. All right, so we're going to start here. And they talked about this in the book that I'm reading right now. And guys, shout out to College Genesis. Make sure you guys get College book too, which deals with Liberia. Make sure you get College book too. This is College book on Nigeria. Journey to the Promised Land, Voyage of the Bark Azor. This is available on Amazon. Guys, go get College books too. Make sure you go get College book as well. Make sure you go cop that. All right. Local opinion could not prevent Haas will from sending approximately 100 bondsmen to the utopian settlement. In December 1834, they proceeded to the 700-acre tract purchased from Bassa leader King Joe Harris. All right. Again, what you have to understand, when the Americo Liberians came back home, when they came back home to Liberia, Liberians, the indigenous native Liberians were still engaged in the slave trade. When Americo Liberians would negotiate land deals, they were reneging on the land deals. And this is what happened. In December 1834, they proceeded to the 700-acre tract purchase from Bassa leader King Joe Harris. Slave traders active in Bassa country persuaded, again, slave traders who were still active in the slave trade, who were complicit with the Africans and Europeans. Slave traders active in Bassa country persuaded Joe Harris to destroy the settlement, telling him they could do no business with him while the Americans were so close. On the night of June 10th, 1835, Bassa's led by King Joe Harris attacked the settlement, set fire to the buildings, and massacred 22 members of the immigrant party. Guys, so King Joe Harris, who was still selling slaves to white people, when Americo Liberians came, they were like, listen, we're still going to sell these slaves. I mean, guys, think about it. Listen, we're still going to sell these slaves. These Americo Liberians are here. They're in the way. Let's kill them. King Joe Harris. King Joe Harris, who had no problem adopting the slave name from his European masters. They were engaged in the slave trade. Guys, hit the like button again. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Bosses led by King Joe Harris attacked the settlement, set fire to the buildings, and massacred 22 members of the immigrant party. When news of the massacre reached Monrovia, the colony's acting agent, Petersburg-born Nathaniel Brander, declared a war that lasted 6 months and forced King Joe Harris to promise to make restitution, to abandon the slave trade. Listen, guys, this is what we got to understand. We just got to be honest. His name was Joe Harris. Dude, like I said, a lot of these Africans, including the Liberians, that complained so much that Americo Liberians forced them allegedly to change their names to integrate, were already selling out and taking Europeans, adopting European names the same Europeans they were engaged in the slave trade with. The colony's acting agent, Petersburg-born Nathaniel Brander, declared a war that lasted 6 months and forced King Joe Harris to promise to make restitution, to abandon the slave trade. Again, abandon the slave trade. See, like I said, the Black Americans who came to Liberia were the abolitionists, the first abolition. Let's just be honest. Abolition and Pan Africanism comes out of the West. Abolition and Pan Africanism comes out of the West. Let's just keep it real. Let's just be honest. To abandon the slave trade and to submit territorial disputes to the colonial authorities at Monrovia. This was a political and military success for the young colony, but a personal disaster for many of the immigrants and far from what Elliot Haas had a vision. As for William Grimes, his persistence and ultimate success in attempting escape from slavery made his later life as a free man in the North, however, limited and inviolable contrast to the sufferings of a group of people he had once known. I'm just saying. And the argument is, well, they were indentured servants. We didn't know what the white man was going to do with you guys. See, there was no concept of chattel slavery. There was no concept of chattel slavery. No concept. No concept. We just didn't know. I mean, you're indentured servants. I mean, chattel slavery is foreign to Africa. But I keep reading stories like this where people are like, look, we're going to stop the slave trade. And these kings are ready to go to war so they can continue to sell slaves to white people. That's why I'm no longer buying the chattel slavery, indentured servant. We didn't know. I'm no longer buying it. No longer buying it. Then you had King Bob Gray. Now, let me tell you how trifling this guy is. Let me tell you how trifling he is. Liberian king. So when the settlers were coming to Liberia and they were settled and they would build their homes and bring their items and set everything up, this guy will send his people to go rob them. This guy will go send his people to rob them. And steal their stuff. And guess what? King Joe Harris, King Bob Gray, they weren't forced to take European names from the Americo Liberians. The people who they sold out to gave them these names, and they had no problem adopting these names. So, anyways, listen, I'm gonna open up the lines. And you guys are more than welcome to call in. Again, lines are open. You are more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. ahead, Elvis.
Yeah, this is a interesting topic. You know, um, two things could be true at the same time, right? So, for example, when you talk about King Gray, this is a Viking, from the Vi people. This name has been around for a long time. He even has a descendant of his who is in the House of Representative right now, Akaris Gray. So this is an old name that's been well known amongst the Vi people for a long time.
How did he how and why did he adopt the name Gray? Because I know his African name. Why did he change his
Well,
name from his African name to Gray, to Bob Gray?
you're right, right. Again, that the origin of the name, I don't know where it came from,
It's
but it
pretty
must
simple. The white people that he sold out to gave him that name and he changed it.
perhaps, but you're assuming that that
Okay,
name.
how does come on, Elvis, come on, stop the cap. How does a
uh,
native Liberian who had an African name get the name Bob Gray? I mean, stop the cap.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Dynast. Right? We had a show on Focus on Liberia. This is a platform, a Liberian platform. And the lady that called into your show the last time I was on with Carla, Miss Call, she touched on this topic. She's married into a Vi family, and this name has been a part of the Vi people for a very long, long time. Now, if she can tell you how that person got the name, that's fine. I don't know how you got his name, but most people in the Vi people, they don't even think it's an English name. Perhaps it means something in Vi, but it's been around for a
Bob,
long, long time.
hold on. Bob Gray is a come on, Elvis.
No,
See,
I'm
this is
not
the
talking
problem,
about when I'm talking about the name.
Elvis.
I'm
But
not talking
Elvis,
about
he
Bob. I'm
had
talking
he
about the
had. Hold on,
last
I'm
name.
gonna look up his African name. Him and King Joe Harris, they had proper African Bassa Vi names. Elvis, Bob Gray is not African. Stop it.
I'm telling you though, Bob is not African, yes, but if you talk to a Vi person, we know. I live in Congo Town. There's a King Gray town not so far away from there. They call it King Gray. On the Bassa
Right.
people, which I'm half Bassa, I know about Joe Harris. We call him Big Joe. There's a Big Joe town in Grand Bassa County. We know who Joe Harris is. We know he's a Bassa king, right? Or he was a Bassa king. The point that I'm trying to make to you is two things could be true at the same time. Some of these people could have gotten their names from, Europeans or people that they traded with, but it's also true that a lot of Liberians, in order for them to settle in, they adopted the family that they were servants to, or houseboys and housegirls to. And most of these families were Americo Liberians, so they adopted their last names. So
Okay,
you can't
Bob,
you can't
Elvis,
negate.
stop. Elvis. The
Go
Bob
ahead.
Gray or Joe Harris were they adopted by American Liberians?
What did I just say? Those two things could be true at the same time.
What do you mean true
One
at the same
group,
time? We're talking about
what?
Joe Harris and Bob Gray.
That's what I'm saying. Those are two people. Okay, there could be the outliers who had interactions with white people and took a white
Oh
name.
my
For
God,
example,
out of
no,
here.
no, hold on, Dynasty. You gotta let me make my case. For example, there's a guy called King Boatswain, right? He worked on ships. He was a boat swinger on the ship. When he came back from England, he changed his name to Boatswain. That was his name, and it wasn't a name it wasn't really a proper surname. It was just kind of what his occupation was, but he changed his name to it. So if you saw a person whose name is Boatswain, you'll say, oh, probably a white person gave him this name, you know. But I'm trying to tell you that's true. What you're saying, one of these guys got their name or adopted a name from white people and took that name.
Here's
That's true.
King Bob
But it's
Gray. This is his
also
name. This is
true that a lot of
King
Liberians
Bob
got
Gray.
their surnames from Americo
This is his
Liberian.
name right
Would
here.
you would you agree with that?
Here's hold on. Here's his name. Here's his name. Here's his name. That was his native name.
Who?
Bob Gray.
Where's his native name? Show it to me.
It's on the screen. It's on the screen. It's in the chat room.
Zangar Kadisi. And you said this is the Viking.
That's his name.
No, I'm trying to make sure it's the same person we're talking about. Is it the Viking or a different person? Because I didn't read the patches that you're reading from,
Actually,
but I know the gray
actually
name is a Vi name that goes way back. And again, I'm not here to argue with the fact that perhaps somebody got their name from a white person. I'm not saying that's not true. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that that could be true, and also Africans got their name from American Liberians who families they work for, and they took that name. My grandfather is a testament to that. My mother's father. This is not 50 years ago. He's a
Yeah, but
Bassa man. His first name is. Go
but
ahead.
the point I'm trying to make is they weren't forced to do that. They just adopted that.
No, most of the time they was forced to do it.
No, they
Trust me.
adopted it.
No, no, no. Even it's a common thing right now, and most people learn this from American Liberians, right? For example, if a guy takes care
Hold on,
of
stop the show. Stop the show. Oh, Brandon brought up a great point. Is Elvis Morris your? I mean, is you go by Elvis Morris?
yeah, that's my name.
Oh God! I mean, is that a Vi? Is that a Vi name?
No, you'll call that a American name, right?
Okay,
I
so
certainly would.
Right. That's my name.
so you took the name Elvis Morris.
What? I was given the name, yes.
So your parents gave the name Elvis Morris.
Well, Elvis is the name that was given to me. My last name is my father's name.
Elvis
So yeah,
Morris.
yeah.
Hey, it's kind of a cool name.
Okay, hold on. So whoa. So stop the show. So Elvis, did your parents, did Americo Liberians force your parents to name you Elvis Morris?
My first name is Elvis. My mom picked the name Elvis for me, but my last name
Okay,
was already my
so yeah,
father's
did
name.
Americo? Okay, let me back up. Is your mother? We'll start here. Is she Americo Liberian? Your mother?
No, she's not.
Okay, so your mother named you Elvis Morris. Not and just so we could put it out there.
Right.
She forced at gunpoint, or was she forced in order to integrate into American Liberian society to name you Elvis Morris?
Good question. And that was the point I was getting to. My mother's father, right? He's a Bassa man. His name is Gavoyi Imbasa. That's his first name, right? But when he started working with a Bassa family, they gave him the name Joseph. So his Gavoyi name was became his middle name, and his primary name became Joseph Bernard. So my mother's maiden name, starting from like whatever time her father started working with these people, and when she was born, her maiden name is now Bernard, which is an American Liberian name. It's a prominent family in Liberia. Most people know this family. All right. So it's all about psychic. If, for example, look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. A lot of people couldn't pronounce his name. He came to the United
Okay,
States playing basketball.
and
That
this is the
I'm
point I'm
just
trying
trying
to
to
make.
give you.
Elvis,
I
Elvis,
know,
let me
no.
stop. This
Let
is
me
the
make
point.
this point,
Oh no,
Dynasty. Let me
Elvis,
make
hold
this
on.
point.
This is the problem. This is the excuses when it comes to my African family in their names. You'll never hear a Greek person, a Russian person, a Ukrainian person. You'll never hear them change their name because of psychology and they can't be pronounced. Like they're gonna keep their name, their Greek name is gonna be their Greek name because they're proud of their Greek name. I only hear this stuff from Africans, like the
And that's the
psychology,
that's the
the
point. That's the
excuses.
point that I'm trying to make. The same thing that happens in America right now with Antetokounmpo's name, where people are like, oh, I can't pronounce that shit. Whatever. I'm just gonna call him the Greek freak. They give him a nickname because it's looked at as hard to to pronounce. Same thing
And
American Liberians did in Liberia. If they had a person whose name was, for example, Gavoy, all right, or like some native name that they felt like they couldn't pronounce or was too harsh on the tongue, they'll give him a quote unquote civilized name, a Christian name like a David or Matthew or something like that. That happened. You can't dispute this fact. It happened there.
well, were
So,
they forced to use that name?
well, yeah, a lot of them, a lot of people. Some people are willingly adapted the name, and others were forced to. If you work for a family, you're seeing it here with slaves. When a slave worked for a family for a long time, if that person's last name is Johnson, they
Okay,
adopted the name, even though they were property of the
but
Johnson family, but they adopted that name. Did that not happen?
Elvis,
It happened, right?
Elvis, you guys weren't enslaved. You guys weren't whooped. It wasn't chattel slavery. So
Weren't they enslaved by the free Black Americans that came over
no,
to
they
Liberia?
weren't. No,
That
no, they
never
weren't.
happened.
They no, they weren't. There's no proof that American
That never
Liberians engaged
happened.
in chattel. No, that's a lie that they. Unless Elvis could prove that American Liberians were engaging in chattel slavery, it didn't
So,
happen.
so there were nobody that when Abraham Lincoln designated that right after
Right.
that did so you're going to tell me that never happened, that there wasn't a
No,
group of
there was no proof of chattel slavery. So this
what is
idea that
what is
African
slavery
Americans,
still?
No, but there was no proof that African Americans came to Liberia and started enslaving the natives like we were enslaved here in America. There's no proof.
So that never.
That never happened.
Okay, so there was never any slavery in Liberia at all.
No, no. Now
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
gonna lie. Was
Okay.
there discrimination? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There was, but that was common.
Mm.
But this this lie that's been told that the natives were enslaved, Black
What makes
Americans
it a
had
lie?
whips, that had
Who
whips.
said who
What makes it
said
a
chains.
that
lie?
who said that there was slavery by what you'll consider chattel slavery,
No,
in
because
Liberia? We
no,
never
your
said
guys'
that.
argument, but your guys' argument is that Black Americans came and implemented the same system that they left from the plantations, which isn't true.
Oh, no, no, no. Like you just said right now, it was discrimination, right? It was
I would say there was
they
differences.
ostracized
Yeah.
the natives. They
No, there's definitely
marginalized them.
forced labor. I'm looking at it right now. No, there was
No,
forced labor. Yeah,
No,
there was
there
forced
we're
was.
labor
talking
there, but
we're
it
talking
wasn't.
slavery. We're talking
So
Yeah, it was
because
slavery.
forced
That's
labor,
because
and it
slavery.
wasn't
because they were
slavery as we
okay.
know it.
So because they were picking fruits instead of cotton, that makes it not slavery. It's
No,
still
we're
forced
talking
labor.
no, we're talking
It happened.
chattel
The
slavery.
rubber plantation. There was rubber plantation where people was forced to tap
So
rubber.
we're just
So
changing the name of
that
slave.
happened.
We're just changing the name
That
of slavery.
happened, Dynasty.
Gotcha.
Again, I'm not going to say chat because chattel slavery is terrible. The kind of things that happen to African American in this
It's
country
not
is terrible.
unique.
It
It's
really
not
never
unique.
happened. It never really happened to Liberians. I will say that. I will concede that point. But there was some
Okay.
form of forced labor that went on. But I won't call it slavery. Trying to equate it to what African Americans went through. I won't say that.
Okay.
So let's not confuse the two. But like I was saying, I'm giving you a prime example. This happened within my family. Why don't African Americans or even people who call themselves pan African pan Africanists change their name to, or some Igbo name or some Yoruba name? Why? Because it's hard. A lot of people who you work with in your day-to-day life, they'll have a hard time pronouncing your name. So some people do it for convenience, but in Liberia at that specific time, it was done for social upward mobility, seen as being changing from a country person, a quote unquote native, to becoming civilized by giving yourself a proper Christian name. This happened. So, I mean, you
But
can't
Elvis,
just dismiss
we're talking
the.
about you,
I'm
Elvis, because
finding a
again,
lot of stuff on forced labor in Liberia. So during that Americo
Yeah,
Liberian
it
rule.
happened. I'm conceding it
So
to you.
how
The
is that not
patriarchy.
slavery? How are you? Oh, so you're just changing the definition of
no,
slavery
no,
because
no, no. There's a difference between chattel slavery
Right.
and
okay. So
labor.
so at first it wasn't slavery. Now it wasn't chattel slavery. So we're just
What,
changing
No,
the
it wasn't
bro?
definition of what it
slavery.
is.
It's
Chattel
not
slavery is
forced.
terrible compared to forced labor. I mean, both
Yeah,
is bad, but one is
for,
way worse.
forced labor is
So
not chattel slavery.
so
It's
like when
not
the
slavery.
Ottoman Turks had slavery, right? Because it wasn't chattel slavery, then it was somehow better.
Chattel slavery is a whole different concept. That's completely different, which is you.
So that makes it better. So if I enslave other people who
Well,
look like
we're
me,
not
then
saying slavery is good, but forced
okay.
labor is not slavery. Like forced labor is
Forced
not
labor
slavery.
is not slavery without wages,
No.
and then also not having the right to
Okay,
vote. I'm looking
you
at
said they weren't paid. Okay, can you prove that they weren't paid?
okay, hold on a second. I'm looking at this right now. Hold on a second. They were denied the right to vote. They weren't allowed to marry into with the Americo Liberians.
That's
That's a
true.
lie. That's a lie.
That's true.
That's
No,
a
that's
lie.
true,
The,
Dynasty. Don't say that.
Elvis,
What
over
are
a
you
okay, no,
saying?
no,
century.
no, hold on. Elvis, the Massaquoi family. You had the Massaquoi family who married to American Liberian. You
There
Outliers.
was
had
also
American
there was
Outliers.
also segregation too. There was segregation as
Outliers.
well.
That's what I
you
was trying to
had
say, brother. I don't know. You've done your research because when I came on the show and I told people like, oh, at 6 p.m., the native people had to leave a place like Monrovia and go back to the slums. Daniel was like, no, hell no, that can't be true. There was
Hold on a
there
second.
was
Were
there
they?
was segregation from. Go ahead. I'll let you speak.
I'm
Go ahead.
looking up something. I don't know if this is true. Were they building buildings that were look like plantation from the southern United States?
Yes, yes, that was
Oh
their
my!
their
Oh,
their
that! Oh,
style of
they were
building.
trying to model what they were doing in the plant. Oh
A lot of the
wow!
things that we have in
That's
supposed to
Liberia is
crazy.
build?
modeled off
Wow.
that.
Okay,
What
I
were
got
they
I got
supposed to
it though.
build? What were they supposed to build? What kind of buildings
And
were they
that's what I'm
supposed to
trying to
build?
say.
Why
They
didn't
brought
they?
what they knew,
They
and that was
why didn't they
American. They
build Wakanda?
Americanized
Why
Liberia.
didn't they
Huh?
build Wakanda? Why did they
Why
build
did they build
Wakanda?
Wakanda? Are you serious?
Yeah. Why did they go build Wakanda? Why did they use the same blueprint that was given to them? Oh, I forgot because it works. You can't have a country without slavery. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. It doesn't. This
You
idea
can't
that
you can't have a great country without
yeah,
slavery.
you need it for some temporary period of time, especially in an agrarian economy. You have to have some form of slavery to get people in line. I'm sorry. It
And
just
most of
works.
the time, slavery only works if the enslavers are the majority. And again, I won't call it slavery, but that
No,
form of
look at the Caribbean. They didn't need it for the Caribbean. They were outnumbered by slaves and still were able to maintain it.
well, the slave, Haiti, they rose up.
Yeah,
That
but then hold on a second. They rose up only to eventually go next door and enslave the Dominicans. What's your point? Like all these, that's what I'm saying. That nobody's more righteous than the other because everybody was practiced slavery. Slavery is not anything new. Everybody practiced it. Chattel slavery is not anything new, right? I mean, and then we're gonna.
But Patriarch, what I'm trying to say, so when he brings up the rubber plantations, the forced labor created a huge middle class, huge indigenous population middle class. So you can't call that slavery.
Oh, we're okay. So check this out. I'm also finding that the Smithsonian has several remnants that were former plantations, right? So, like, I think they found.
They weren't slave plantations. They were just
Oh,
that's
okay.
what they call. You
but yeah,
understand? These are people
but
fresh
they
out of
have forced
off
laborers
the
on the
Okay.
plantation.
plantation as well.
Okay. And
Who
then
went
okay.
Yeah.
So let's just okay. So they just were taking people's labor and not really paying them. They didn't have the right to vote, and they were segregated against. That's not slavery. That's not.
Hey,
That's not
let me
like if this is not. You have no basis of complaints if look at what they did. This is blatant discrimination. You
well,
don't have
yes,
rights to vote. You
right.
can't survive. Like you can't. This is not enough to survive or build a society. And meanwhile, it was slavery because the people at the top were getting extremely rich off of it, while the rest of the people suffered and couldn't build a home. So let me
Okay,
let
so
me
I,
go
let me
ahead.
I'm
ask you
I'm
this.
a I'm a native
Patriarchy,
Liberian, right?
Let me ask you this, Patriarchy. How's Liberia doing now since the 1980 coup?
Since 1982.
Yeah, how's Liberia
Since
doing now?
oh, it's terrible. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. I mean, but all of that area is, with the exception of Nigeria.
Nigeria, because you're seeing Lagos and
Well,
you're
I
seeing
no,
some
I
developed
said,
cities.
but hold on a second. I'm
Nigeria is the
comparing.
poorest country in Africa by capita.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me explain. You also got Ghana as well, right? Listen, they're all inferior, right? Me being an American in the Western world, but when I look at Africa, those countries are doing better compared to their neighbors. So like I don't yeah, but Liberia is terrible. Liberia is terrible. Well, one of the main reasons Liberia is terrible is it wasn't colonized for long periods of time. The places that are doing better had colonization and roads and schools and stuff built by the Europeans. So if
Nigeria is doing better because it has a lot of oil.
but also
Not
they were colonized for a longer period of time. Like the British left Nigeria in
That's a
like the
not
50s and the
that's a
60s.
lie. This
What
yo,
what
bro,
year
you
what
bro,
year what
bro,
year did the British leave Nigeria?
patriarchy,
1960, they got the
bro,
independence
Okay,
in
so there you go.
1960.
So the British
bro.
were there up until
The Brit
1960. There you go.
the British were only in Nigeria from not even the turn of the 20th century. What are you talking about for a long time? They never
Hmm.
settled in like Nigeria. There's no European
Really?
settlements in West Africa.
Really? So
So what do you
Nigeria's
talking about?
first
So
highway?
first of all,
Who built Nigeria's first
you get
highway?
on this thing, you don't know history.
Who built Nigeria's first highway?
You can't reference any
I
books
can
that you read.
reference it.
You can't
You're,
reference any books and
I
whatnot. You
can.
think
I
you have an
can.
intelligent cut.
Will you let me?
You haven't read any books. Name me one book you read on West Africa.
My history book.
Oh, what history book? Man, Boo Boo the Fool's University.
No, I went to the best HBCU in the
Oh,
country. But go ahead.
you didn't learn. Obviously didn't read African history because you don't know what you're talking about.
So what books are you? So am I wrong? I asked a question about when the British left Nigeria, and I asked, did the British colonize Nigeria?
The British never colonized West Africa.
Give me your source. Give me your cite your source. Cite your source so we can
They
look it
were
up.
They created a
Nigeria was a
protectorate. The
protector of
Nigerian
British Empire.
company,
Cite
the
your source.
British Nigerian company was a protectorate. You know,
Mm.
it was not a colony. You know, a colony is when people settle and they have a mother country.
Yeah,
That
you
never
were
happened
ruled
in
until
Nigeria.
1960. This is according to
See,
we have
according to
USC. Hold on a second. We have
if
USC.
you
We have
actually read and
OSU.
studied instead of
So
pulling the stuff you
cite
find
your
on the internet, you
source.
would know what you
Cite
were
your
talking
source.
about.
I got Harvard University during the Berlin conference. So like cite your source, bro.
So in other words, basically, look, this is what I'm
I
talking
want to
about.
hear your source.
Hold. This is what we're talking about. Fundamental basic history. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I'm not even in a library. We'll quote you this stuff when you can research it yourself. Go to a
Good.
library, get a library card once in a while, and then go do some research yourself.
I'll go do it in
Instead
a
of
white
looking
library because
online
you have
and
none.
find goofy stuff online.
Who
Cite
built your
sources
libraries?
and your peer review stuff? Then you'll understand accurate history.
Okay.
The thing is, Europeans basically had the Berlin Conference 1884. That was basically them staking a claim to Africa. Now, with the exception of the Belgium and the British in Southern Africa, right? Most of it was a territorial claim. France had territory in Africa. They just claimed it, right? And then once they claimed it, that means no other European country could claim it and everything. So therefore, all their dealings with these places dealing with the outside world, they had to defer to their country that they claimed. That's why inside Nigeria stayed the same. Northern Nigeria was almost completely untouched. When the British went to Northern Nigeria, they found the government so advanced that they left it alone. And to this day, Northern Nigeria. We'll say he don't even know. He don't even know how.
How'd you get colonized if you were so advanced?
Check this out. He don't even know.
How'd you get colonized if you're so advanced? But go ahead.
He don't even know that.
I know you lost.
He don't even know that some of the oldest civilizations in the world was in central Nigeria. He don't even know about that.
I know you lost. I know you lost.
He don't even know that.
I know you got punked. I know that.
All he's thinking about is his racist white supremacist worldview.
Well, you
when
love
they went
white
to Northern
people.
Nigeria, they
You
found
love white
cities
people.
like Kano, Katuri, Kano, and all these other things.
Do you live in Kano now?
Sokoto.
You don't live in Kano now, though. I didn't think so. Like I said, bro. Like you. Listen. You people are losers.
Oh, they say everybody.
That is. No. If nobody, I'm an American. I'm an American. I'm where you ran away from. I'm where you ran to. I'm where your people run to. I'm where your people run to. They don't. Ain't nobody trying to go to the north part of Nigeria.
I got out of here. Anyways, I'm an American.
Get out of here. You can't even. Oh yeah, but you. Are you Nigerian? First off, Nigeria is not even a real country. It's a collection of tribes.
First of all,
not even a real country. It's like a collection of 6 or 7 tribes. Go ahead.
Hold on. One mic.
Not even a real country.
Nobody would even come here. You got to.
Well, Mike. All right. Go ahead, Joni.
Oh no, I just wanted to answer the gentleman, the one that looks like Drake. Haiti did not invade Dominican Republic. We helped them. We helped them.
No, you didn't.
Twice.
You invaded them. You invaded them.
Oh
no. Let's go. Let's have this conversation.
You gotta protect the sister, Diane. You gotta protect the sister.
You cannot be quiet.
No, go ahead.
You cannot be quiet.
Go ahead.
Okay. We did not invade them. Okay. We helped them twice.
No, you did not.
Yes, we did.
You occupied Santo Domingo. You occupied Santo Domingo.
Oh my God.
You were killing mixed babies.
Okay.
Patriarch, you gotta let them.
Everybody look up the massacre of Mocha. Okay. Everybody look up the massacre of Mocha. They didn't want to unite with you. Yeah, you killed me.
It doesn't.
You were the first version of Hitler. You killed every lighter skinned person. That's the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
Dessalines. You wanted to kill all the lighter skinned people.
One of the founding fathers.
Where did Haiti get its independence from?
You would not be.
Where did Haiti get its independence from? Hey, you mud cake eater. Go eat your mud pies. Where did Haiti get its
mud pies? That's
yeah. Get this I can't take it anymore. Yeah, I can't take it anymore. All right, go ahead, Joni. Go ahead.
No, I just don't understand when he said there's this big propaganda that we invade Dominican Republic. We helped them twice. We helped them because they invited Spain to come back in, and the people there came to and asked us to come and help them, and we did. We helped Venezuela. We helped all these people. We put that shit on our back. Like, I mean, I don't understand what's this this rhetoric against us. Like, I really don't. Like, I know our country's we're having a lot of problems with our country right now, and we're gonna deal with it. But when people come and say that we invade Dominican Republic, that is not true.
He's a self-described mulatto.
Yeah, sister. Let me just say something real quick. Isn't like Haiti was like bound by debt to France for getting their independence? That's one of the things that held them back. A lot of people don't talk about that.
No. This is what happened. We fought off three different wars, three different superpowers, right? We fought off the French, the British came, Spain came. So they said that they were going to invade us again. We didn't. So our forefathers made a decision. I think Petron did, who the last, because we call them the four horsemen: Dessalines, Henri Christophe. I'm sorry, Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Henri Christophe, and Petro. He did the wrong mistake by signing the treaty with France, and we paid them billions of dollars. So we paid by blood and by money, but we paid that off in 1946. So that's that. But the issue with Haiti is an inter-battle, like what's happening in Africa. It's an inter-battle. What's happening is one man wants power over everybody else. It's greed, but it's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, I want to get Kyle's take on the topic tonight because I think Dynas is trying to.
Okay, check it. I want to talk about this, right? First of all, here's the problem, right? Liberia has been reputation ruined by the likes of people like that. What's his name, patriarchy guy, and everything. They want to project American values and American supremacy onto Liberia. Nothing was further from the truth. If you look at the truth about Liberia, right, it was Liberia only had 35 years to it. So the so-called Americo Liberian, that was only 35 years of existence. That's just a woman will tell you. From 1943 to about roughly like 1980 is the Americo Liberian era. Before that, Liberia was under threat of constant sanctions from the British and the French and invasion and destabilization and all these things with the crew wars and stuff like that, and also international reputation. And it was under the threat of being colonized. Now, when we say Firestone, right?
That's not true, Colin. That's not true.
Yes, it is. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Let me make a quick point before you move on. Let me just make one point before you move on. A point of correction.
Elvis, let me finish what I'm saying, and then if you disagree with something point by point, you refute what I'm saying, right? What saved Liberia was this, right? Liberia didn't have the diplomatic or the political power to stay. The British wanted to colonize Liberia. Okay, there's a lady named Simon, right, and her husband Simon, right. These people had dreamed about making Liberia a crown colony of the British Empire, right. They went to Liberia during the League of Nations and offered protectorate status. Liberia refused, right, said we could handle it ourselves. Then they created the Fernando Po incident to ramp it up. All this, Liberia was almost about to cave, right? It was almost about to cave, right? And then what happened was this, right? They had a lucky break, right? The British was basically saying that we needed, Liberia could be an excellent source of something that's vital to the industrial world, rubber, right? The British wanted to take Liberia over and make it their own place of a source of rubber. So they wouldn't have to go to the Far East to get rubber from the Dutch anymore, right? Okay. So therefore, what happened was this: the United States, Liberians heard there was a man in Akron, Ohio, named Harvey Firestone, right, who had political connections, right, who was interested in breaking the British monopoly on rubber, right. So therefore, what happened was this: because it was a sovereign state, right, it began entering into negotiations with Firestone, right. That was enough to give the United States, Liberia, diplomatic cover against the British. The British said, we want to take over Liberia. And the Harvey Firestone said, no, we have interests over there. So the United States and Britain almost went to war over Liberia. People don't know that history. Just like when Germany was Liberia's
not true
ally. Well, hold up. When Germany was Liberia's number one trading partner, when Liberia kicked the Germans out in after World War I, right, the Germans burned down Monrovia. Submarines burned down Monrovia. People don't know that history, because Liberia reluctantly sided with the Allies in World War I, and then after World War Germany retaliated on Liberia. Okay, after the World War I, Germany came back to Liberia, right? And Germany was always Liberia's number one trading partner and friend in Europe. Now, the British and the French were trying to basically colonize Liberia for not just for the rubber, but they basically said that having Liberia there was creating unrest on the continent because a lot of people in their colonial study was point to Liberia as an example of black self-rule. And so therefore what happened was now the Liberians were entered the negotiation with Harvey Firestone, right? And then what happened was the first phase of negotiations. Harvey Firestone gave Liberia
Carla,
money and everything.
it's not a monologue.
Hold on,
You've talked for
Elvis,
2 minutes. Let me respond to you real quick.
Elvis, let me finish my point, man. Let me finish my point. Then what happened was, this is what happened. Liberia began to say to Harvey Firestone when all these conditions that would basically make it a sovereign entity with no strings attached and everything. Liberia said, no, we're a sovereign country. We're going to operate on our rules. And then what happened was,
Have you heard about Harbel? Harbel, you know what Harbel is?
Let me finish what I'm saying,
What are you
bro.
talking
And then you
about?
can make your point. Okay? Let me finish what I'm saying. And then what happened was, when the negotiations broke down, Harvey Firestone went to the United States government and told them, let's take over Liberia. And the President Harvey at the time said, no, you're a private company. We're not going to use gunboat diplomacy to force your thing. So Harvey Firestone came back in the negotiations deal. And the deal you have right now is what happened, what you have right now. When Firestone said they were going to build a port, which they never did, right? That was built under the Lend-Lease program that was brokered by African-American diplomats and the Freeport of Harmony. But Firestone did build the first power plant on the Farmington River, right? Gave Monrovia electricity for the first time. So Firestone modernized, gave birth modern Liberia. That's the absolute fact. And also, they say they gave them a 100-year lease on acres of land and everything. And also, the people that went to Harbel were volunteer workers. They built schools, hospitals, clinics, vocational stuff, all that stuff and everything. Now the people, to some people are tappers, but what about all the indigenous Liberians who became supervisors, technicians, and all these other things in Firestone? Because I know many of them that did very well. They built homes and some of everything. So this idea that, they use slave labor, that is a freaking lie from the pit of hell, and you know it.
All right, go ahead, Elvis.
All right, first question. Who was Harbel named after?
It's Harvey Firestone. Whatever. What does that got to do with anything, man?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask that thing. What's that got to do with it?
I'm trying to get to a point, right? This is a large piece of land that was given to Firestone.
It's not that big. It's not
bro,
that big.
You was crying for me to let you speak. Allow me to speak, right? It's named after Harvey Firestone. Hard is for Harvey, and Bell is for his wife's name. I think it was like Mary Beth or something like that. So they gave him pretty much his own little big old plot of land for 100 years, 6 cents to the dollar. All right.
Yeah. So what was wrong with that?
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Was that a good deal for the country at the time?
Yeah. Yes, it was a good deal.
Okay, fine.
Yes, it was a good deal.
Let me move on.
You tell me.
Dinus,
hold on. Hey, Carla, let him finish, Carla. Let us. No, I just want to hear him, Carla. I just want to hear him. All right, go ahead.
So Harvey Firestone got this plantation, and you made me lose my thought because I was trying to say something earlier, and you stopped me from saying it. But I was trying to make a point when you were speaking earlier. Liberians always sided with Americans. They never wanted to be colonized by the British because they saw themselves as, Americans.
That is a lie. That's a lie.
That's the point that I'm making, right?
That's a lie.
Lie. Allow me to finish. When you made the point about this, when you made the point about the lady saying Liberia didn't become America Liberian rule until like the 1940s and 50s, that was when Tubman took over, and everybody in Liberia know that Tubman was an American puppet.
No,
that's when. Hold on. You had your 2 minutes. Give me my 2 minutes. That's when Liberia really started to develop, and why was that? Because Tubman was in the pocket of the United States government.
Okay, give me an example.
He borrowed a lot.
Hold on. Let me address. So Elvis, are you? Hold on, Carla. So Elvis, are you upset that Liberia was developing?
Say that again.
Like, are you upset that Liberia was developing?
No, I'm not saying that. But the point that I'm trying to make is people try to make it seem as if this happened in a vacuum and these people were just brilliant economists and agriculturalists that they started to build this whole thing from the mud. That's not what happened. It was a lot of loans. Even Tubman admitted that he got $11 million to build our executive mansion. He started getting a lot of loans from the United States to build up Monrovia. That's why it started becoming so developed during that period of time. Do you know that, or do you admit that?
But Elvis, okay, I understand how it could look, but if it's bringing development, what's wrong with that?
and that's fine. But I want people to tell the entire history. You can't just
Okay,
make it seem like it was this black
Dynasty,
utopia and everything was
Dynasty,
great and everything
this is
was
why I'm gonna
God.
destroy Elvis' argument right here. This argument here. Liberia was the only country in Black Africa that was able to broker the largest investment in private investment in Black African history. That was the opening of the Bong mines in 1960, right? Nigeria and Ghana at the time could not get the sort of investment in anything. In fact, when they discovered oil off the Nigerian coast, do you know that the oil company Shell didn't have offices in Nigeria? That the offices were on the drilling rigs and the platform. Liberia was the only. They built a railway into the interior. They built a a power plant. They did all that in a Black African country, taking all that risk because Liberia was considered the most stable country in Africa. You know, but the bottom line, the people that likes Elvis want to discredit Liberia because his tribe, the Kron tribe of people, weren't part of it. You know, this is what tribalism is. If your tribe is not the one doing it and everything like that, you want to discredit it. There's no sense of nationalism. You know, there's no sense of no sense of, something. That's my homeland. That's my country. Let's get behind it and let's see let me go to Liberia and see what I can do.
You think you love Liberia more than I do?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think you do.
Oh, okay. Right.
I don't think you do.
The only hold on. Just give me a couple minutes. Give me a couple of minutes, please. All right. The point that I'm trying to make, Dine, is I like your platform, and I'm sorry I wasn't on this platform a couple of years ago, so I could, because Kyler knows a lot of things about Liberia. He's read a lot of history books, and that's a great thing. But unless you're on the ground and you understand the situation at the time and the nuances, you would just read what somebody writes from their perspective and what they understood it to be.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to give you a fuller
Elvis,
context.
okay,
I'm trying to give you a fuller context.
Elvis, this is the problem, Elvis, not to cut you off. All right, so when I first heard about Liberia, it was just straight, these Black Americans came and enslaved the natives.
No, we never, even we in Liberia, we never claimed to be enslaved.
Well, people will run with that, but again, when the indigenous Liberians, when they would tell their side of the story, they would completely omit how they were engaging in the slave trade when the Americans came back home. Like they would completely omit that part, which is odd.
It wasn't like the entire country was engaged in the slave trade. There was little sections on the seacoast of Liberia that was engaging in slavery at the time. For them, it was a lucrative deal, like in most of Africa. So we admit this. I can concede that point to you. Slavery happened in Africa, especially in West Africa. A lot of West African countries and different tribes.
And our ancestors went to Liberia, put it into it.
They engage in slavery. First of all, Liberia was almost an accident. They were going to Sierra Leone to be repatriated back to Africa, and some people left Sierra Leone and settled in what is now Liberia. So it wasn't directly.
It wasn't because you'll be speaking French right now, or you be speaking the King's English, right? The fact that Liberia. Let me tell you something.
And that's true. What you're saying, that's true. But I'm trying to tell you that it wasn't this whole plan out thing that happened on purpose.
You Liberians, while sitting in America, have more privilege than any other African on the continent. Any other African. You're the only group of people. Hold up. You're the only group of people, right? You can go to Liberia. My friend Armstrong Jabba is in your town, in your part of Southeast Liberia now, growing rice and whatnot. Armstrong Jabba. He's growing rice right now, doing everything and whatnot. While you're sitting online talking this nonsense. He believes in this country. He's indigenous background.
Well, you don't think I have projects going on in Liberia?
You're the only group of people that envy when a slave envies the free people envy the change of slaves across the border in Ivory Coast. When the Ivory Coast people, Liberia, Africans in Liberia don't have the privilege of Liberia. They can't own land outright like Liberians can. They can't get deeds and titles and everything. You're completely free. That's what the whole country was all about. When I was in Liberia and whatnot, I know who's Liberian. I know who's a foreigner. I could tell. Who's Liberian?
It's the same thing in the United States. You can't really own land in the United States either.
All those people, why are they in Monrovia if it's so bad and whatnot? You talk about. Why are they crossing the border to come to Liberia and not staying in Guinea and Ivory Coast and all these other countries? Why are they there, Elvis?
Kyla, I just explained myself to you, right? When that guy was on just now and trying to make things seem like it was as bad as chattel slavery in the United States, I disagree with it. But certainly there was discrimination, there was marginalization, And in order to get some
Yeah,
kind
the
of social,
marginalization was who was educated. People educated were uneducated. Well, marginal. That happens all over the continent. It's happening all over the world to this day. It happens in India right now. So what makes you so sad? Oh yeah, they had 35 years to try to build a modern republic. 35 years, and you guys wanted miracles and whatnot. Instead of kicking in and seeing what you can contribute to the country. Oh, they didn't do this. 35 years. They didn't have all this. It was after when Liberia created its own dollar backed by the U.S. dollar. When the United States basically
there we go again. There we
firestone
go
in, the
again
U.S.
with that
dollar started coming in,
relationship with the
the legal
United States.
tender, and they built the
Liberians
free port of
always
Monrovia.
saw themselves
That's
as a
what birthed.
proxy colony of the United States.
Okay,
How
so
is that?
They
How
always
hold on.
tethered.
Let me
Do you know what
Liberia
a
always
colony is? There was
tethered
no
themselves
American
to the United
settlers
States.
in
They
Liberia.
always.
Hold on. Whoa. One mic. But Elvis, this is the problem. All right, this is the problem. So number one, all right, there's no proof of United States of America considering Liberia a colony. So that's just an assumption. There's no proof.
No. Liberians, American Liberians, they tethered themselves to the United States. They put a lot of things, like he just said. Our dollar was
They
back.
tell themselves the
Hold
Black
on,
America.
Kyler, you gotta let him. Kyler, let him finish. Go ahead.
And he just admitted to what I'm saying just now. They consider themselves the Black America, right? So a lot of things that we had in
But that's
Liberia
not America.
was borrowed from the United States. Our money was tied to the United States money. So if you're coming here with this whole idea that these people came and built something great for Black Americans or for Black people on the continent out of nothing, that's not the case. It wasn't out of nothing. It wasn't out of nothing. This was a lot of help, a lot of loans taken from the United States, a lot of mining concessions that was brought from European countries. So it's not like this thing that happened just out of the blue. European countries was backing Liberia a lot in investments, and the United States was backing Liberia a lot in investment, and even in military power during the
Elvis,
days
what
of the coup war.
investments? What investments, Elvis?
What, Firestone wasn't an investment from the
Okay,
United
well,
States?
hold up. Firestone was a private company, right? All right, the private company. There was no other major U.S. investments in
Okay,
Liberia.
even if you say that, like I just told you,
See, but I just
look,
refuted
look,
what you
I'm
said.
giving
Even
I'm
you
giving
said
you
that.
another
You said a
example.
bull-faced lie. That's even
It,
you say that one now. You just called it a
where is
bull-faced
it?
lie.
Where is this Firestone from? Is it not from the United States government?
Yeah, it was a private company, right? It was a private company, private capital, right, and a private sector. That's all.
You just mentioned that Harvey Firestone had to go to the United States government to ask to
No,
go
and
into
the United
Liberia.
States government refused them. Said you're a private business. Work it out, and the terms were
No,
on Liberia's
no.
terms.
A
When
change
Harvey
when
Firestone
World
tried
War
to,
II came
his
around.
first
A
deal.
change when World War II came around, and they
Check
needed
this
a
out.
lot of tires for cars. What are you saying, Carla?
His first deal. Check this out. His first deal that he offered Liberia, they said no, and also he said, look, you took our money. He took our money. I want this, and the Liberian government said, no, you're not going to have carte blanche treatment in our country. We're a free, independent country. And also there's an article I
But
wrote
they still
called
gave him a deal with
the
pennies on the dollar,
Saddam
right? They
the
still give him a
Worley.
pennies on the dollar deal.
Hold up. There was a guy in 1920 named Worley. There's a guy named Worley. He was from the United States, right? He was supposed to come to Liberia and negotiate a loan, right? And the Liberian government refused him because they found out that he was making statements saying that the Liberians obey him at every command. And Liberians put him on a ship and took his loan and kicked him right out the freaking country. But people don't talk about that history. Liberia is very, very conscious about its place in
Let me
Africa as a free
let me just
independent
get to this
republic.
point. Let me ask you this one question, Carla. Do you agree that the Liberian government borrowed money from the United States for developmental purposes in Liberia?
Okay. The lend lease. The lend
Do you
lease.
agree to that? Do you
Hold on.
agree with that?
Let me ask you that. The British
It's a simple yes or no. It's a
borrowed money from the
simple
United
yes or
States,
no.
right?
It's a simple yes or
Israel
no.
borrowed money from the United States. What was Liberia? The sovereign republic. It paid its debts back.
On whose back? And with what resources?
See, this is what I'm talking. You're never gonna have a
I'm
civilized
asking you a
country
question.
with
I'm
this sort of
asking you a
mentality.
question. Answer the
You're never gonna
questions.
have a government.
Answer
Elvis,
the
can I?
question.
Hold on, Hold on. One mic. Elvis, this is where I get confused. So, 1980, the coup happens, right? But where I also get confused, if number one, if Liberia was so bad during Americo Liberian rule, why weren't you guys leaving Liberia in mass like you guys did after the second coup or the Civil War? And then number two,
Mhm.
why did you guys come to America? Like it was, oh, this place is tethered to America.
Good question,
The
Diamonds.
American
Let me
Liberians
answer this
came.
question
Why,
without
why
Kyla
did you guys?
interrupting me.
Why did you guys come to America? Why did you
Yeah.
come to where the
Let me
American
let me answer this
Liberians?
question without Kyla interrupting me. America is like the modern day Rome, right? You know the saying, all roads lead to Rome. Right now, all roads leads to the United States. You have people coming from England, coming from France, coming from Serbia, coming from India, people from every country wish to immigrate to the United States of America because it's the greatest country on the face of the earth. That's why African
Okay,
Americans have to be here.
But
Wait, no,
Elvis,
no,
if,
hold on.
but no, no,
Let
no,
me
but
give you my
Elvis,
answer,
no,
please.
I gotta stop you, Elvis. But if American Liberians brought that to Liberia, why'd you guys leave just to come to America?
What are you saying? They brought the United States of America in its
Well,
totality to Liberia.
but
Is that
that's what
what
you're
you're
saying.
saying?
But that's what you're saying. Your argument is that the American Liberians brought the United States to Liberia. You guys took
That's yeah.
control,
I'm
completely
trying to
ruined it.
debunk. I'm
Hold
trying
on,
to debunk this idea that
completely,
Liberia was
okay. But
this
again,
unique
but
idea
again,
to African Americans who founded the
again,
country. They brought
right.
most
But
of
your
everything that they
argument,
saw
but
in the
again,
United States to Liberia. That's what I'm saying. It's
okay.
not
But
this
again,
unique
Elvis.
idea.
Okay, but Elvis, again, if Americo Liberians allegedly brought America to Liberia, when you guys took over, why didn't you guys turn it into
No,
the
no, no. That's the
Africa
point. They didn't
Wakanda?
bring the
And
no no Diners. They didn't bring the economic opportunities to Liberia that we have here in the United States. They didn't bring that. It wasn't there for everybody to tap into. Anybody could come to the United States and get a job after a couple of years, probably be able to buy land back home, probably be able to build a home. That wasn't there for native Liberians during
but what
those
happened in
days.
1980? I thought after 1980 it was going to be there if it wasn't there before.
Like I said, you always ask that question, and I'll always give you the same answer. After 1980, Liberia didn't collapse. Did the first day after the April 12th coup, everything went downhill in Liberia? Of course not. Liberia started to really break down during the war in 1989, 9 years later.
No, that's a lie.
9 years later, that
Liberia
was
was
when
breaking down in
everything got destroyed in
started in
Liberia.
83. The postal system collapsed in 83.
Yeah, sure, the postal system collapsed. True, right? But
Okay,
the
okay. So
point here, when
well,
people see Liberia,
that's important. So you guys had a functioning postal system. Then come
with a functioning
1983, it
postal
collapsed.
system, where?
Okay,
All
In
over
the
the
you
country,
said
Monrovian,
man. They
you
had
not
said
the
it
not the
most
collapsed in
entire
advanced
country.
postal
1983.
system
In the
on the
Monrovian,
continent. What are you talking about? You don't know your own country.
enclave of American Liberian settlement in
Yo,
just a little section of a country,
they had postal
in a little
depots on
section
the
of it.
Upper River. They had postal depots in every junction on the coast and whatnot. People could send letters from all over Liberia to the west and whatnot. They had a functioning postal system that was Liberia was a maritime nation. They had one of the largest fishing fleets and everything. The Maserati group of companies and whatnot. You know, the
You
first
say largest. You're always
what's
comparing
it called,
this
Stephen
to
Tolbert, right?
nothing
Who died
else
in a
because
plane crash in
none of
1975
the other countries
was
was
a millionaire.
decolonized by
You
that
know.
time. You see what I'm saying? If Nigeria was Nigeria then, Nigeria would probably be the biggest this, the biggest that, because they have just the size of the country, the population of it was going to dwarf anything that Liberia could have
And you
done.
know something else,
Because none of those
Diamonds,
countries
right?
could claim to be a sovereign nation.
Let me
That's why
tell you something.
Liberia was seen as the biggest this, the
Stephen
biggest that.
Tolbert, right?
Liberia is one of the smallest country in Africa.
Check
Our
this out. And also,
population is
you
one
know
of the
something.
smallest in
And you know
Africa.
something. What
So
Elvis won't tell
what
you,
are you
right?
saying?
A lot of Liberian businessmen were helping develop Nigeria. Nigerians after during the Biafra, they pulled out of Nigeria during the Biafra War and whatnot. And those companies in Nigeria became the first multi-million-dollar companies in Nigeria. Those are Liberian created. Liberians have interests all over the continent, man. They was ready to take over and do business all throughout the whole entire continent, all the way down to Cape Town. You know, that's how freaking influential it was. These guys, indigenous Liberians, all they had to do was understand something. They could be rich right now and basically have plugged into the whole entire country because Liberia had built the network globally, so they could plug into it. They were selling shrimp to Japan, for God's sake, and whatnot. Liberia had it all going on and all collapsed. 1980, Liberia lost all its diplomatic connections, all its channels and everything. When the whole population was uprooted and everything like this, its brain trust died and everything, and the whole country collapsed. In fact, let me tell you something, right? Give me a couple of minutes to tell you something. Liberia, on one hand, it was trying to develop its own country, but Liberia was this place where it was brokering all the settlements, the wars, everything on the African continent. The Lancaster Agreement was brokered by Liberia, right? The peace in Namibia was brokered by Liberia, right? The Lagos Plan of Action, all these things, all the independence movement, Liberia had a hand in it. So therefore, not only was it trying to develop itself, right, but it was helping out all the other African countries during the independence movement. All these people, Nelson Mandela, Police Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, all came to Liberia, you know, and stuff like this. People don't realize the history. So Liberia played a major role in the Pan-African post-independence, the independence post-World War II movement. But Elvis keeps talking about, oh, we didn't get our fair share and everything like that. And woe is us and everything like that. All this sympathy shit, you know?
You're saying it's like it wasn't all done diplomatically. It was done militarily. Because Liberia has gone into South Africa and fought the Boers to free South Africa. Is that what you're saying? Of course not. It was because we had the backing of the United States, and people wanted to be like Liberia, which was saying as an independent country at the time. So we couldn't enforce anything in Africa to say we would have given the British, we would have taken the British and give it to Nigeria or to give South Africa from the Boers. What are you saying?
That's another lie that's being spread, right? With this false idea of American Liberians. Liberia was the head of the OAU, right? And you know what Tolbert said? Tolbert told the United States and all the Western out people, you'll never have a military base in Africa as long as I'm head of the OAU. That's what Tolbert and Cecil Dennis told the United States, you know? But yet, he wanted to paint a picture.
And how was he going to stop it? If the United States wanted to take it by force, how was he going to stop them?
Oh, hold on. So, yeah, well,
how was he going to stop them?
Hold on. Guess what? Unlike your ancestors, those were real men. They were ready. You come here and you kill us. And that's how Cecil Dennis stood. Cecil Dennis got to a fist fight in the White House with the Undersecretary of State. That's the type of men they were. So
they would have defeated the United States if they wanted to take over Liberia by force, right?
And invited Ronald Reagan in and whatnot, and you destroyed Liberia.
Tyler, I will tell you this. I will just say this to you simply. You are, I won't use the word racist, but you have a racist mentality when it comes to Liberia. You know, because African Americans see hold on. African Americans see Liberia as this shining star that could have been their achievement.
Your boy Samuel Doe invited the United States in and militarized Liberia. You know, Tolbert said no. He had Russia, Cuba, Libya come in and say we're gonna have a non-aligned movement. Whose side was right?
When you say militarized, what do you mean militarized?
All the guns and everything you say, the United States came in there and basically militarized. And basically, when you saw the Liberian government under Samuel Doe, they were basically proxies of the CIA. And it's also during Tolbert's reign, right? The United States was basically flying planes into Angola and Liberia protested the U.S. flying planes into Liberia to do a refueling reconnaissance for the war. They said, no, you're not going to use Liberia as a base.
What do you mean? Liberia was used as a base willingly during World War II. Tubman gave that's what. Hey, hold on. Let me just correct you right there. You see, that's the thing with Tolbert. Tolbert was different in a lot of ways. So you can harp on Tolbert and say, oh, he was this, he was that. But before he came in, that was the status quo.
Well,
Liberia did what the Americans wanted them to do.
Bottom line is this. You guys still celebrate. You said talk about Tubman, but yet there's a Tubman birthday, was the biggest holiday in Liberia, and you guys didn't even give Tolbert a decent grave, a burial. Y'all killed him, and whatnot. He basically gave you guys all this freedom and all stuff like that, put you in all this, and you guys butchered him, killed him like an animal. That you showed your thanks to him.
Yeah, like I said, Kyler, I disagree with the way Tolbert was killed. I do. He compared to his predecessors. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Now we can look at Tolbert's legacy. Hold on, Kyler. Hold on. You gotta let me speak.
This beautiful human
being. Yes, you gotta let me speak. I agree with you on that, right?
Butchered him, ate his parts and everything, cut him up, and cut him up and everything like that. You guys showed so much hatred, and then took all these men that you swore to protect and everything.
First of all, he was never eating. Don't say that. You're not equating what happened during the war with what happened with Tolbert. He was never eating.
You know what you should have done? You should have took it when you guys had the power. You should have took the flag away and gave us back our flag and changed the name of the country right now. Because what right now is not Liberia. I don't know what the hell that is right now. What you have.
No, it's still Liberia. It's just that Americo Liberian. It's just that Americo Liberian. It's not in power. That's the only difference. That's the only difference, Tyler.
Destroyed Liberia. You know what you have right now.
Would you like us to give you? Would you like us to give you Liberia back?
No, it's too late, bro.
Okay, then. So then just forget about it. We got it now. It's ours.
If you guys need to decide, Are you listening to Elvis types or whatnot? You know what I'm saying? Well, if you guys believe in Elvis, you need to change your name, change your flag, change all that stuff like this, and create your own shit and whatnot. And then we'll be done.
I never came here and told you that.
The way you talk against our people that built Liberia and tried their best to build a black country and whatnot and do their best they can. They only 35 years to make it work.
Y'all still there? Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you no audio? Hold on, what happened? Hello? Okay. All right, let me I'll put the link in the chat room. If you guys want to call in, go ahead and call in, and we'll take one more caller. We'll take one more caller, one more. I'll go ahead, caller.
Okay. I don't know what happened. But this is what I'm talking about, Dinas, right? It gets so frustrating, right? Because there's so many Liberians that love their country. They said yes, especially people in the Mono region, the Mono and the people in Lofa. These people basically stayed out of Monrovia and everything, and they're thriving up there. You go to Nimba County, they are thriving up there, They're not engaged in all this stupid nonsense. They're like, yeah, our presidents, they made mistakes. Indigenous people made mistakes, but we love our country. We love the fact that we got freedom here and we're not under the French or the British and everything like that. And you got people like Elvis. Well, we got to understand, Colin. We got to understand, Colin. And this is what happens with every last single thing the black race does. There's always these idiots that come along and whatnot, and don't want to be civilized. They want to destroy everything. It's like that in the black community. Harlem was once a beautiful place. And what happened? Well, the riffraff comes in, bringing their drugs and their thuggery and everything, destroy it. Chicago, same thing. Everything we go building around the world right now. We don't need the white man to destroy anything anymore. We got Negroes, whatever it is. They want to do the same thing in Rwanda right now. Oh, Paul Kagame this, Paul Kagame. They want to come in there and ransack Rwanda and everything like that. I don't know what it is. And that's why I tell this black South Africans, the same thing will happen to you if you let these malcontents come to your country and with their nonsense. They're trying to come and embrace you and help you build your country. They come in here, take, and basically destroy, because the bottom line is, I don't know what it is about the African mind, right? They don't want to know how to assimilate. The only thing they assimilate is with the white man. They'll come here and wave the white man's flag, the American flag proud. They wave the British flag. But when it comes out to another black country, they want to see how they can destroy it, change it, and undermine it, and some of everything. That's what you have in Liberia. Instead of saying, something, my ancestors may have not been on that side, but I see the fact that I'm free in this country. Let me embrace this thing called Liberia, and let me make it work. Let me speak highly of her name. Let me be proud and everything. Let me show the world, yeah, I was born in the only free black country in the world, free black republic in the world, and at the time. But instead, like Liberia only had 35 years, Dinas. 35 years. You think about it. When World War II broke out, when the British stopped trying to colonize Liberia, that gave Liberia breathing room. It had 35 years, right? And in that 35 years, Tubman built modern Liberia. It went from a backwater country to a modern republic in 35 years. But yet they wanted all this. We indigenous people, they only had 35 years. And you got people still in the United States, black people who've been here 400 years and still haven't been integrated. You got people in Haiti still suffering. You got people in Mexico still suffering. But these people, 35 years is way too long to wait to make sure that they had the right education, everything, so they could take over the government. The government of Liberia, October, educated a whole group of indigenous people to take over the leadership. The guy Bowley we talked about you talked about the last show. This guy was educated in the United States. He came back and proceeded the executions of the people who educated him. He rounded up all the officials and bloodily killed this guy. This guy's a senator in Liberia right now. He got deported from the United States a couple of years ago and ran for Senate in the United States. Guy was Doe's right-hand man. He lived in the United States, in Black America for decades. And we didn't even know who he was. So all these people, they come here, they talk. Elvis, he talks one way around us, but he gets around his own people. They all this The Congo people, they have all this hate and vitriol for us and our ancestors. Are you there, Dynasty?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no.
Mike, you there? Hello?
Mike O.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Elvis.
I've been back on my phone died, so I have to turn it
Yeah,
up.
but Elvis, you still didn't answer the question. Somebody, that was a great point. Somebody made in the chat room. But why did these kings take European names?
Like I said, Donnie, I answered that question earlier. You know, those people who took those names, they had their reasons. You know, whether it's because they wanted to be like the white people or because of whatever. I give you an example of a person named Bushwang who worked on a ship as a bushwanger, and he took that name. But the point that I'm trying to tell you, that's true as well. That
No, but
chiefs or
but but,
kings
but that but
took
that but
it.
that
No, don't interrupt me now when I'm getting to the other part of my answer. That's true as well, but the second part of it was also true. American Liberians, people native who work for American Liberians, were forced to change the name to American Liberian names, and some of them took the names of their well, I don't know what you want to call it because I won't say slave
I
masters,
want you to
but
prove to
whoever they
me that
live with.
I want you to prove to me that they were forced to take those names.
I gave you an example of my grandfather, my mother's father. I gave you that one example.
He
All
was
right.
forced to pick the name.
Yes, it happened for many Africans. I mean, I want you guys to maybe invite some Liberians because you think it's only my perspective that I'm giving you, but
But
it's
my
something.
question, Elvis. But my question, Elvis. So my name was Albert Horton Hollis II. I took my black ass to the courthouse and I changed my name.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll give
who
you.
gave you your name? Your
I,
mother's did, right?
right,
Your,
exactly. So
right. So
that's
do you hate your
that's
mom for giving you the white man's name, or did you feel black and you wanted to be African, or whatever the reason was that you changed your name?
it wasn't even to that point. I went and changed my name. My mom changed her name. So the point I'm trying to make,
From your
Elvis,
mother's family,
Elvis,
from
do
your
you have
family.
kids? Elvis, do you have kids, Elvis?
I got kids. Well, I don't think kids. I got a kid.
You have a kid, Elvis. Does your kid have a Liberian name?
Yes, our tribe. We always give our children what we call a country name. That's going to
Okay,
be the name
but
in our tribe.
what name do they go? What name does he go by?
He goes by his first name,
What's his first name?
Samuel.
So you named him Samuel.
Right.
Elvis, come on, bro. I mean, it's just the
Well,
argument of they forced
you're
us to.
African. You want to be Africanized, right? Or you want
Again, I'm just not buying it. They
you
forced,
Well, a lot of African Americans change their names to African names rather than having a
but but
Tyrone or
but
Jacob or David.
Elvis, if the American Liberian, I mean,
No,
Elvis,
I
dude.
see your point, bro. Hold on, let me explain. The thing here is the psyche of it. When a lot of Africans come to America, I go with this and yeah, I seen this because my name was Elvis, so I didn't have a quote unquote African name. But I saw other friends of mine who had African names. People made fun of them for it. African Americans made fun of them for that name. It happened the
Okay,
same way in
and
Liberia.
and and
Why did African
and
Americans make fun of Africans for their name?
I
Because
mean,
the
you
white man
should,
used to make fun of the white man used to make fun of Africans for having African names. So
but you
that
should
whole
be
mentality
ashamed.
was switched over to African Americans, and it went to Africa and projected that on the Africans. That's why
But
they
you
was never comfortable with an
But
African person having an African
Elvis,
name in their household.
Elvis, you shouldn't be ashamed of your. That's why when
I
I
agree
talk
with
to
it. You know, you're more enlightened than most African Americans, right? You're more enlightened than most people. So it's something that is a psyche on Black America right now, even in Africa. People
but
are
what's
ashamed
that?
of their African heritage. Even when African Americans came over, they didn't like to see African people wearing African clothes. They didn't like us, when we spoke the way Africans spoke or when we spoke in our dialects. They looked at it as being civilized country, as they would call it. Those country people, those
But
country,
Elvis, man, Elvis. I'm trying not to get kids involved in this. I don't want to do that. So I named my son Mansa. Mansa is named after Mansa Musa. All right, Elvis, you named your son Samuel. I mean, you're keeping the
I'm a
pattern
Christian,
going,
so
right?
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
You're a
So
Christian.
what?
So Elvis, you're practicing the evil religion that the Americo Liberians brought to Liberia.
You say Christianity is evil? That's a whole other show. I mean, you can get into religion. I don't
So
know what your religious persuasion is, but I won't
Let me
come in
check
here.
out. I'm just gonna listen in the
who
chat.
who who introduced Christianity to the Liberians?
Mostly missionaries in America, Liberians.
It just like I said, this whole Americo Liberian. I mean, this whole
What do you?
Liberia.
Oh, are
It just
you
don't.
disputing that fact that America,
It just
Liberians were not
it just
100% was
doesn't add up.
99% Christian? They Christianized the nation. Are you saying that was a bad thing that they should have
But
Christianized us?
but did they force you guys to be Christian?
Are you saying yeah? Some people was forced, others was coerced, but they brought
So
Christianity, and for most people, we looked at it as a good thing.
so
We looked at it as a
you
good thing.
look at
Hold up. The Vai people, the Vai tribe is still Muslims one day, and they were in the government from day one and whatnot. So how, like that? It had nothing to do with Christianity. It had to do with certain practices and stuff like that, and it had
Liberia is 85% a Christian nation.
yeah.
It's a
But
majority
let me ask you a
Christian nation.
question,
Right now.
Elvis. What exactly is Christian? What is that as Christian? Do you describe what is Christian?
Well, for me, my simple understanding, I'm not no preacher man, but I'll tell you this: it's people who try to emulate the life of Jesus Christ and follow his teaching and his word.
Hold up. Do most Liberian now Tubman, right, was a so-called Christian, right? But Tubman, right? Was he acting like
Right.
a Christian? But
Of course not.
Tubman drank, right? He drank, he smoked, he had cigar, and he was a woman.
He had orgies.
Was that really Christian?
Yeah, he had orgies.
Now we don't know about that, man. You can't
Right.
don't say
Oh,
say alleged.
you saying you don't know about that, or we all know about that? You saying you don't know about that, or we all know about that?
Hold on. This is what we're not gonna do, right? Unless you got real evidence, whatnot, you don't say stuff like that. You know why? Because this is what black people do. This is what happens when we come from an illiterate culture, right? You say stuff because of that. I'm blessed the fact that when African American culture is a literate culture. I mean, we learn our history through books and literary. It's not oral.
So you want to paint Tubman in a good light, and you don't want African Americans to think that he was a womanizer. You don't want them to think that he was a drunkard, he was a smoker, but not a womanizer, right?
Hold up. Did you have photographs of witness of an orgy by Tubman?
Like I'm saying to you, caller, everything that you know about Liberia. No, hold on. Let me answer your question, right? Everything that you know about Liberia. That's like somebody. Hold up.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. These guys.
That's like somebody telling you that George Bush was a cokehead. That's like somebody telling you George Bush was a cokehead. You can say, how do you know that? Is it written in a history book? But people in America, that's common knowledge. People in America would know that. So I'm telling you something that is common knowledge.
Elvis, your mic is messed up, bro. Like you gotta change your mic. But Elvis, I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that George Bush is a cokehead unless you got proof of it.
Really? Do you know that?
You don't know that.
All right, go ahead. Hold on, caller. We got some other call. Mike, go ahead, Mike. Unmute yourself, Mike.
All right, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Okay. I hear somebody mention that Liberia was leading the Pan-Africanist movement, and if my memory serves me correctly, during the Kwame Nkrumah's led Pan-Africanist movements, they had two groups. They have the Monrovia group and the Casablanca group. The Monrovia group was against Nkrumah-led Pan-Africanist.
He tried to sabotage it.
Their idea of Liberia leading Pan-Africanist movement in West Africa and Liberia civilizing everybody and all those things is quite different from the history that I learned, about West Africa. And also, the country that I know that was created genuinely for returned slave was Freetown, was Sierra Leone. And what I also learned was Liberia was set up by the U.S. government. Actually, it was a guy named Robert Finley. He's a white guy.
Hold on. Mike, hold on, caller. Mike, there's proof. I want you to prove to me that the U.S. government set up Liberia.
Okay, I'm telling you straight. I learned, so it's different from the one I've been hearing here. Now, Liberia. I'm from West Africa, so I don't.
Mike,
But Dennis, can I? Okay,
Mike, no, Mike, I'm just asking a question. Show me
Mike,
where.
have you read a
Show
book
me
in
the
your life?
documents.
But why not? What?
Just show me the documents where the United States recognized Liberia as an official colony or a colony. Just show it to me. Direct me to it.
Liberia was founded by American Society of Colonization Society. And then, but can I talk at least? Carla, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Dennis.
I asked the specific question. Show me where the American government established Liberia.
Okay, let me show you. Wait now. The capital. Okay, you guys. Narration is that black people left flee America to go free themselves from white people. Okay, if that's the case, they got to Liberia and they named the capital after the United States president Monrovia. And they designed a flag. Wait. They designed a flag.
Mike.
Dennis, can I talk, man? Can I give you my? I'm not telling you to believe what I'm saying, but just
I asked a simple question.
But then I'm giving you an answer. Can I give you an answer?
You're not giving me an answer. You're just giving us the same.
So you want me to give you the answer you want? You want me to give you your answer?
No, Mike, it's simple. Okay, Cote d'Ivoire was a colony of France. Is documented. France considered Cote d'Ivoire a colony. Same thing with Senegal. Show me where the United States of America considered Liberia a colony. That's it. That's all I want to see. Like, don't give me the Monrovia, the flag.
Dinus. You Liberia. Let me give you my own knowledge of Liberia. Let me give you my own knowledge of Liberia. Liberia, when Liberia was set up, right? The countries that were the superpower of the world at that time was England and France. Now, England and France were coming into the continent to penetrate. The United States government needed to set up their proxy colony, their little Israel, the same way they set up Israel in the Middle East today, right? And they would claim that Israel was set up for the return as a place for returned Jews, which we all know is complete bogus bullshit. Israel was really set up. Let me talk. Israel was really set up as a spy base in that region to spy against those Arab nations. Now, when they, Carla, let me talk, man. I'm not here to talk to you. Let me talk. I'm not here to talk to you or argue with you. I'm not interested in talking to you, dude. Just relax. Let me give my own version. So, when Liberia was set up, when Liberia was set up, first of all, the United States government was not announcing to Black Americans that, listen, we've created a country for you in Africa. You can all go there. No, it was not. Now, even till today, most Black Americans didn't even know there was ever a country created for them. So that already most Black Americans today are even finding out about Liberia on the internet. So now, when Liberia was set up, the people that the U.S. government were sending there to go, the claim was that
Hold on, Colin. Mike, who did
the
United States?
Dennis, let me get my story across, and then you can start asking questions.
Mike, I just asked a simple question, Mike. Like, hey, Dennis, here's the document page here and there where the United States government set up Liberia. That's all I'm asking for, Mike. Not your story.
But this is what I'm from West Africa, and I know my West African is okay. Do you ask Carla to bring documents and all these things? I'm from West Africa. I know my West African story.
I'm from Liberia. I'm from Liberia, right? Let me give you a couple of examples.
I'm giving you my West African story. Can I at least talk? God damn, man! I just like you guys. Let me give my opinion. Okay,
Mike. Mike. Your argument is, Mike. Let's start.
No, you don't know my argument, Daniel. I haven't even landed. I haven't landed. You telling me my argument?
Your argument is that the United States government set up Liberia.
Yes, the United States government set up Liberia. Yes.
Not enough your opinion. I want you to show me where the United States government set up Liberia. That's all I'm asking for.
Who set up Liberia, Dennis?
It wasn't the United States government.
Who set up Liberia? It was Black Americans. They built a ship and they decided to sail to the coast of Africa and then just set up a country. Is that what you're telling me?
My Carla, you're muted, Carla. You're muted, Carla. You're muted, Carla.
We need to have
the Black Americans got out of a plantation and decided to build a ship and decided to sail to the coast of West Africa and set up a country without money. Who funded the building?
Bottom line is
Liberia was set up by the United States government. In fact,
Mike, let me get.
No, you need to mute. You've been talking rubbish all day. You make up stories. You make up a bunch of rubbish stories. You talk about Mike,
you try to tell us that the United States government set up Liberia.
Yes, that's what we know Liberia to be. Liberia was a spy country on that.
Mike, show me the proof. Just show me the proof. Just show me the proof.
Well, go do your research. I will show you proof whenever.
So now
You want me to show you proof right now when I'm talking?
So now I gotta do my research because you don't have.
Sierra Leone was the only country genuinely set up for return slaves. Liberia was set up. Even those blacks you guys are talking about. Those black Americans you guys are talking about that came there. A lot of them were not even. They were still Americans. They were going back and forth. Their homeland was America. They were.
Mike.
I know Liberia.
Mike is telling the truth. Mike is telling the truth. Mike is right. He's right.
Dennis, a lot of them were still American citizens. Even till today, the Ellen Johnson, Charles Taylor, they were all going to America every summer to go to school to do things.
Elvis and Mike, show me the proof that United States government said it was a claim Liberia as a colony. That's all I'm asking.
Dennis, do you know the first rulers, the first president, the first leaders of Liberia were half the mulattoes, were children of the slave masters, right? You know that, right?
Mike, goddamn, Mike.
I'm telling you the truth, Dennis.
Are we this fucking retarded, Mike? Hold on, Elvis, be quiet. Are we this dumb? I asked a simple question. Show me the documents where the United States government considered Liberia a colony. It's really that simple.
You want me to show you document on the show? I'm telling you the history of West Africa. I'm from West Africa. I'm telling you my own history.
I don't care where you're from. Show me the documents that the United States government set up Liberia as a colony. Just show me the document.
No, you show you. Dennis, I am telling you my West African story. Dennis, Sierra Leone was the country where the slave came, right? And when they got there,
what does Sierra Leone have to do with the United States? Mike, we're talking about Liberia, bro.
Liberia, Sierra Leone, similar story. They were the two countries. They were the two countries that was claimed to settle for the return slaves, right?
Mike, let me make a quick point, real quick, Dennis. But
they won't even let me give. They won't even let me get across. And Kala is talking about Liberians came to create companies in Nigeria and civilized Nigerians. What kind of rubbish is that?
Mike,
are you serious?
Please, give me a minute, please, Mike. Dennis, if you want to do some comparison, right? Take the United States Constitution, take Liberia original Constitution, and read them side by side. You will see they're very quite similar. No, I'm giving you. Hold on.
Okay. Here we go, Elvis. In certain countries they drive on the right side of the road. I mean, okay, Ethiopia.
Well, Dennis, you guys got to give us time to tell our own story now. You guys can't be telling us our story.
No, okay, dude, it's very simple. We're not talking stories. Just show me.
I'm from West Africa, and I'm telling you, you won't allow us to even land.
Mike, I don't care where you're from. Show me where the United States of America.
Well, can I at least give you my view, and then when I get a chance, I'll email you documents.
No, we don't want to hear your view. We know your view.
Do you want me to give you a document right now on the show while I'm talking?
Show me the documents. Pull it up
right now? When I'm talking to you in my vehicle? How do I give you a document right now?
Okay.
How do I show you a document right now? I can only tell you my story, right?
Dude, we'll do this. We'll do this, Mike. When you get the document, look, we'll wait. Send it to me.
No, that's not in the way, Kala. Dennis, man. Come on, let me. You allowing Kala to make up stories.
Mike, we don't want to hear this. We know the stories, Mike. We know the stories.
No, you don't. No. You know you don't. You don't know. You don't know.
The stories don't matter. I just want the proof that the United States government considered Liberia a colony. That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for. Either you have it or you don't.
Okay, let's leave the colony part alone. Let's leave the colony part alone. Now, Liberia had a U.S. military base.
Okay, so you're moving the goalpost now, Mike.
What goalpost am I moving? You want to stick to the document of colonization? I mean, I don't have document right now, but I'm trying to. There are a lot of things Kala came here to say, which were made up.
Mike, I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to.
Well, Kala, let me counter things Kala's been saying all day, man. Give me a chance at least, man. Kala made up a lot of bullshit, man. He just made up a lot of stories, and he's trying to convince us. He's trying to preach this.
I'll say this to you, Mike.
There's no way we black people can come together. Some people want to be preaching supremacists,
But he always chooses to omit certain things.
Because what Kala comes there to do is preach black American supremacists, and he doesn't. You can't call yourself a Pan-Africanist and be preaching supremacists.
I agree with you, Mike. I agree with you on that point. Kala does do that.
You come here to say black Americans are special blood. They were created differently by God, and it's different from all the blacks. The rest of us are just dumb. You're smarter. You come to civilized us. I mean, you can't say you're Pan-African. You can't be preaching black unity Kala, you can't be preaching black unity and trying to preach supremacy at the same time, okay?
Right, I
You
take
preach
that
a
point,
lot
Mike.
of black
That's a good
American
point.
supremacy, and it's very
Yeah,
annoying. There's no way
and
you
I
can
really
unite with
thought this
people.
platform was different than that. I thought
Yeah,
Colin was
you
different than
can
that,
unite with people if you're trying to paint your
everybody on this
people as
platform agrees that he's preaching African
yeah.
American supremacy or American
You
Liberian
can't try to
supremacy,
unite with people when you're
which
trying
is
to make
just not
yourself look like
it's
you're
not the right
just and
thing
you're
to
trying to be
do.
talking down on us. And if you're saying the truth, I can understand. But if you're making up stuff about Liberia coming to bring companies to Nigeria to teach Nigerians some things when it's a lie, you can't be teaching. It's a fucking lie, dude. Listen, the first printing press company in Africa was in Nigeria. The first TV station in Africa was in Nigeria.
Had companies in Nigeria.
No, black
Bro,
Americans. Listen,
let me tell you this,
American
Colin.
Liberians did
Nigeria
not
was
come
more
influence anywhere
advanced
in
than
West Africa.
Liberia. They
You were
just didn't have independence.
You don't even know your own history.
no, you don't know shit. You make up history. You make up rubbish history. I listen to you all the time. You just make up lies, man. You make up history, dude. You lie too much. And stop talking from both sides of your mouth. One minute you say let's unite, in the other minute you saying things that divide us. Stop
That's true.
preaching supremacy.
Colin
It's
does that.
stupid.
He does do
Stop
that.
preaching supremacy, dude.
Hold
You're not the best blacks. Blacks, we're all black. We're all equal. You're not made different. God didn't create you separate, different. Okay?
Hey, Mike, oh boy, Mike, oh my God, Mike, I'm gonna concede something to you, right? Although I know that's the truth, right? Because much of like
It's a fucking lie, dude. Stop. Okay, show me the document.
What's the truth,
And
Colin,
Dennis, you didn't ask me for a
African
document for
Americans
that
are
one,
better
but
than
you're
African
asking me for a
Americans?
document.
Hold on, what document do you want from me?
Let me finish.
Hold on, what document?
He
Hold on,
said
Colin,
they
what
build a
document?
company in Nigeria and teach Nigerians some shit.
let me-
What did
hold on,
Liberian? What did any Liberian come to Nigeria to teach us anything?
Oh, this is the black mentality. You can't have nothing without a fight. I'm gonna concede something to you, right? Although I know that story, and I talked to Stephen Tolbert Jr. in Liberia myself. I interviewed him. I got on tape. I interviewed him when I was in Liberia, right?
Liberia was built by the United States government. That's a fact.
Hold on. Liberia was not owned by the United States government.
Liberia, listen, let me tell you the true history of Liberia. Liberia was used as a mini Israel. It was a proxy country set up by the United States government.
No, it wasn't.
There was no intention to create a black people country, and United States government abandoned. Let me tell you when Liberia began to decline. You guys were saying it was after the coup. It's a lie. It was not after the coup.
It was after the Cold War.
It was after the Cold War. It was during the Cold War actually.
Espionage. When they didn't need to use the Omega Tower to spy on Africa.
Let me tell you when Liberia began to decline. It was when the U.S. government abandoned Liberia, and because Liberia was no longer useful for them as a proxy nation.
Hey, Mike,
they abandoned
I
Liberia.
want to give you a big hand clap today. You're a smart guy. You know the real truth. I give you that, Mike.
Kala. Let me tell you the truth. Listen, you've been talking all day. Let me tell you my own part. Let me give you my version of the story. Liberia, when United States, after World War II, the United States became a superpower. Liberia was no longer useful for them as a proxy country because England and France was no longer superpower. The next superpower became United States and the Soviets. Now Liberia was no longer that special country. United States government abandoned Liberia as this. They were no longer funding Liberia, and Liberia began to decline. And that's what led to the.
United States was never funding Liberia. What are you talking about?
No, United States. Liberia was the United States special. United States was. Liberia was. United States with Israel.
One mic. Colin, one mic. Okay, Mike. I'm still waiting on the documents that United States government colonized Liberia. So
United States government, Liberia was the property of the United States government until it was until 1940 after United Nations.
Mike, let me talk. I'm Liberia. Let me give you some examples, right? There's a place in Liberia called Maryland, right? If Liberia wasn't colonized directly by the United States, the Americo Liberians
they were using them exactly. They were using some blacks from America, and those blacks they were going back and forth to America and Liberia. They were going back and forth. They never left America.
That we have in Liberia that is named after states in the United States is a lot of places.
let me speak.
Those blacks were American citizens. They were going back and forth. American government was just using them
After American cities, they renamed counties after states in the United States. They did a lot of things that we
hold on. So Elvis. So when Zimbabwe was once called Rhodesia, am I correct?
Right.
That's because of British colony.
Okay, can I finish? So this is my thing, Elvis. Why, when you guys took over, why not rename it? Why not change it?
Well, you moving the goalposts, Dennis. That's not the argument here.
I can answer that question, right? Let me answer, Dennis. In our Liberian community, we are having that conversation. But a lot of people, the majority of us say no, because it will be divisive. We will be like excluding our history. We got to keep this because we don't want to exclude the American Liberians that founded Liberia. A lot of people there, we admire them. We do. Well, it's not this whole idea that because you founded Liberia, like Carla was saying on another show, why not go to your village and build it up? We built this over here, so stay out of it. That's a nonsense argument to make. So the point here is Liberians. We had that conversation. Should we change our national symbols to reflect us, who are more, our more indigenous self? And a lot of us say, some people say yes, a lot of people say no. The majority said no. Let's keep it like that because we don't want to ostracize the American Liberian who.
Let me say this: the reason,
that's why.
The reason the native Liberians were standing up against the American Liberians that were ruling it was because they look on the country next door, Sierra Leone, where they saw the country as the same country that looked similar history as them, where slaves came from overseas, from the Caribbean, the diaspora, and they all working together with the locals. But in Liberia, it was more like a class. No, they were, and they were wondering, like, okay, in Sierra Leone, how come there is no diaspora ruling everything? That's what the fallout came about. And when the U.S. government abandoned Liberia was when those Americans they became kind of weak in a sense. That's when the locals was like, okay, you know what? The white man is no longer supporting these people, backing them. Let's overthrow them. That's what this is all about. And the primary reason why they had to overthrow it is because the country was just declining anyway, because the funding was no longer coming from the United States. So the country was becoming broke. So you guys should stop this. We came there to civilize everybody. I mean, stop it, man. Stop preaching supremacy.
Hold on.
Who did Liberia declare their independence from?
ACS.
Okay, so and where's that from? Is that not from the United States? If it wasn't colonized, we would have been a country from day one.
Okay,
we would have been a nation state from day one.
Elvis, the ACS is not considered.
What's the C stand for? What's the C stand for?
Elvis, the American.
No. What's the C stand for, Dynasty? What does the C stand for?
Okay, you're not understanding me. The American colonization
society. The American colonization society. The C stand for colonization.
It did not. It was a rinky-dink non-profit.
The founder of the organization was named Robert Finley. He's a white man.
The word colony is in the name.
He's
colonization society. They had to.
It was founded by a slave owner, white
independence from the ACS because it was a colonization. It was a colony that was funded by the ACS.
In West Africa, the only country recognized as a country genuinely for the slaves, returned slave was Sierra Leone.
That was not their purpose to colonize Liberia. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes. How's everyone doing? Good to hear you all. But I actually checked on the ACS, and it was set up, and there was other reasons behind it, like giving black people over here right to repatriate. The abolitionists were involved in it. A lot of the reasons why the things are the way they are. But the situation is, if once you get power, I think it should be once power is restored, meaning once they get to a point where they've run the country, they should wait some time before they start introducing, change the name later. They should do that rather than are we able to, as a group, to run that country, grow it, and make sure that the economics are more sound before you start talking about name change. I think that would be better off than talking about changing name, because that's, to me, that's just surface level. If the people can't work together up under the name that they have, up under what's going on, that I think a name change, like they say, will cause more problem to try to convince a person that's set on certain things. I agree with that point.
All right, MM, go ahead.
Hold on.
People talk. Go ahead, MM.
Go ahead, Mike, I disagree with you with that. Basically, like, Liberia was founded for the free, when Black Americans could go back to Liberia, after slavery. And then before you said that Liberia wasn't what was it? That America supported Liberia, but they didn't really look after Liberia. It was the Americans or the Black Americans that built up Liberia. It wasn't America's funding.
It was the U.S. government that designed and built Liberia. That's why they named the capital Monrovia after the U.S. government, U.S. president, James Monroe. There's no way black man will build a city and name it after a white man. Come on now, does it make sense?
Yes, it does make sense because
a black man will build a city and name it after a white man. It's slave.
Mike, let me talk, bro. Let me tell you. So let's be real. These people just came from slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
They seen a plantation. They've been slaves for a generation or two. Been on the plantation. Been around white people. So that's
And
all
they
they know.
built the city and name after their slave master, right?
Can I finish up? So when they go back to Liberia, they're gonna name 9 times out of 10 a state, a county where they from after that. You know.
Why though? Why if these white men were so
Name
bad?
it
Why
after their
why-
slave
why-
master.
if they were
Elvis,
so
what
bad
they
to
name
them,
Elvis?
why name places after them? That's the biggest honor you can give a slave master, to name the entire capital of your country after a slave master.
What?
Look at
U.S. government
Buchanan,
built
who was named after
the
James
United States
Buchanan.
president. Now president built the city,
Y'all
built
don't let
Liberia. That's why
nobody
he named the
talk.
city after himself.
Alright.
Come on.
Can I-
Johannesburg. Where did that come from? Where did Johannesburg come
Well,
from?
Yeah, because the
name
white people built Johannesburg. That's why they named it after themselves.
the white named Johannesburg after the
You think if it was black South Africans that built Johannesburg, they would name Johannesburg after themselves? Look at Soweto. The blacks built Soweto. That's why they call it Soweto.
What I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Nigeria, when we built Abuja, when we built Abuja, listen, Kala, when we built Abuja, we didn't name it after a white man or a white woman.
Listen.
So you
but
guys
you
call
don't
it, I'm a
understand.
proud Nigerian. He was
Well,
born
hold on,
in
Colin. Let
Nigeria,
MM finish,
you know?
Colin. Let MM
Y'all
finish,
not
Colin.
listening. What I'm saying is that those people were American. Yeah, they culturally at the time, those black people were not culturally African. They were American. That's why they named it after that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know any African names. They lived in America.
Well, they could have named it after themselves.
They
Didn't they have names? Didn't they have names? Why didn't they name it after? Why didn't they name the capital after themselves? Didn't they have names? Didn't they have Tobalt? Why didn't they name it the capital Tobalt City or something? Why does it have to be named after a white president? President of the United States.
Hold on, let me give you some history lesson.
Oh, you talking about
Liberia was first.
One mic. This is the reality. Hold on, Colin. One mic, Colin. Hold on, Colin. One mic, Colin. Okay.
Let me just give you a quick history on the name Monrovia.
Elvis, this is the problem. At the end of the day, the free slaves had the fortitude to leave America and go to Liberia and build. At the end of the day,
that's right.
They didn't build anything, dude. Sierra Leone is where they built. Sierra Leone was the country they built.
Well. So fast forward to 2022, we got 2 immigrants who left Africa to come to America, to where the Americans came from. It's just the hypocrisy behind it.
No, it's not hypocrisy. It's not hypocrisy. It means the world has changed. The world has changed. The world has become a global village. The Europeans that go to Africa. If you go to Nigeria, you see white people living there. If you go same way, you see you go to Europe, you go to Africa, you see Chinese white people. You go to Europe, you see Africans, Chinese. Everybody is traveling everywhere. So why is it that when a black man goes somewhere, oh, he's fleeing?
I'm not sure if Diners know that a lot of Americo Liberians had homes in the United States. Their children lived in the United States.
Virtually all of them, they're the elite.
Okay.
They come to America for holidays.
You think they stayed out? They didn't stay out. They kept coming back and forth. What are you saying? Should we not have privilege to come to the United States because we're African?
No, but why? But hold on. But the question is, hold on, Carla. But again, why did you guys come to America?
America is the greatest
The
country
same
in
reason
the
everybody else is
entire world.
traveling, man.
Everybody is coming to America. From Europe, from Asia, from any continent, people come to the United States for economic
It's not only United States, it's all over the world. Even Americans travel to Africa. Like white people travel to Africa. Everybody
people
travel
from
everywhere.
Britain move to the United
It's called
States
globalization.
for economic opportunities.
The global economy is tied
money.
together.
Yeah.
Global
It's the greatest
currency,
country in the
United
world. Where do you expect us
Nations,
to go?
embassies all over the world. So that's why people travel these days. So the world has changed. The world has changed. We can't be saying, oh, because we won't travel 200 years ago, why are we traveling today? The world 200 years ago is different from today.
You want to be a part of capitalism. You want to be a part of the capitalist nation. Capitalist America is why you're coming. You can use capitalism here. You can't use it in your country.
It's not that. I would say the main reason. I would say the main reason is the currency. To be honest, like Europe, the people that make decisions. Listen, the people that make global decisions, they make sure which currency is the best currency is the U.S. and the European Union. So they make euro and the dollar more stronger than everybody else's currency. That's why everybody's after the currency. What? So, and in fact, the African continent is supposed to have the strongest currency because currencies are supposed to be backed by commodities, right? Resources.
Hey, bro,
we own the resources. Our currency is supposed to be the strongest.
You got a point there, right? You got a point
so
there.
because of the policy of the UN and all, that's why I say Africans need to get out of the United Nations and just separate themselves from all these organizations because it doesn't favor them. Because the UN, all they do in the UN is put African and Caribbean countries in the back of the bus and put European countries and United States on the front of the bus, and decisions are just made to favor
Let me ask Dinus a question.
the
Dinus,
NATO countries.
hold on, Mike, hold on. Mike, hold on for a second. Dinus, if you took 5 million Black Americans from the United States, put them on an island with no help, with no resource from any other country, in 20 years' time, how do you think that island would look?
They would die off, man.
No help, because you guys are trying to make it seem like that's what Liberia was. It was an island that was founded by Black Americans with no help from anybody else, and they built this great prosperous society.
They didn't even have engineers. They didn't have any of that. They just came from slavery.
They came to school in the United States. They got their knowledge from the United States and went back to Liberia to build Liberia. They borrowed money from the United States government with loans and interest to build Liberia. That's a fact. So they didn't build it out the mud and nobody helped them. The United States was always backing them.
Elvis, so why are you in America and not building Liberia?
For Monday, the money that I get from the United States, I go back and I build a house here. I build a couple businesses here. That's what I'm doing. A lot of us do it. People from Ghana would do the same thing. A lot of Ghanaians that you go back in Ghana and you see these big estates and big mansions.
I agree with Dinus. We all should be going to build our countries. That's what we should be doing.
That's true.
To be honest,
that's true.
Fact right there.
I have a plan to go back home. I have family there.
It's very sad that we're not doing it.
Until I get that money, I'm gonna be here working for that same money that African Americans are working for.
Elvis,
well, you want me to be in a village somewhere in Africa, living in a hut? And not working in the United States to make money? What are you saying?
Elvis, I've been to Liberia. I was there in 2019. I'm trying to see where all this Liberian diaspora money is. Where is it going? I've been to Liberia.
Did you go to every inch of Liberia, or you just went to Monrovia and you saw a little couple of tourists?
Listen, all I know
is there are people who got mansions in Liberia. It's not as developed.
Elvis, I was in Liberia.
Dinus, you act like you're African. You're African mind central. Your mindset is Africanized, but you're not, because you want Liberia to look like America. You want it to look like the United States, right?
But to be fair, though, man, the Liberian diasporans are not as successful as the Nigerian diasporans and all those people. So it's not really like they have. The Nigerians are big shame, to be honest.
Mike, all I know is I was in Liberia. I was in Monrovia, the same Monrovia that Elvis cries about that they were excluded from. And Lebanese were completely running that shit from top to bottom, not indigenous Liberians. So I'm just trying to figure out
what's going on. By saying that.
The shame is on the
truth, but that's the truth.
What are you saying? Are they the city mayors? Are they in the government of the city?
No, I think they're just investors. I think every country investors come in to take advantage. Unfortunately, we blacks. That is. Let me tell you the problem of blacks. Let me tell you the problem of we blacks. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, Mike. Let me finish. But Mike, this is the problem. The argument is that the Americo Liberians excluded the indigenous population from commerce, from everything. I was in Liberia 2019. Lebanese control the economy of Liberia. Period. So I'm trying to figure out where's the win. Now I'm hearing that we're in America getting the bag to go back and build. And I guarantee if I go there, the Lebanese.
You saw Donnie. You saw retail. That's what they're really strong at, because they import a lot of things.
Do you think
a lot of Liberians don't have the ability to import things, but the Lebanese do? They have the means to import. So you see that they have these little shops on the street.
Elvis, let me ask this question real quick. Danny, do you think if let's say the coup never happened and the American Liberian was still in charge and everything, do you think
Liberia listen, Elvis will probably be in Liberia right now.
I don't believe it, Danny. I don't believe it. Do you know why I say so? Do you know why I say so?
No,
every country in Africa during the 60s, 70s.
But Mike, this is the problem. People like Elvis were not immigrating to America in large.
No Africans were immigrating to America back then.
Tell Dinus, because I thought he was
Dinus, a smart guy. Most Nigerians. Well, let me answer this.
Tell him, because I don't want to tell him again. You can tell him.
Elvis, let me say this. In the 60s and 70s, even Nigerians, when they come to America, they just come to visit. They go right back. They don't want to stay here. Countries in Africa, after they were all doing well, especially during the Cold War. They were taking advantage of that Cold War situation where the superpowers, like the West couldn't take advantage of them. But it was after like the Soviet fell where the West became the sole superpower. And the way they started punishing the African countries, man, like
they didn't need us anymore.
That's what made African countries decline. It's not because Liberia would have declined as well. Even Nigeria was doing best in the 70s. Even Nigerian currency was more powerful than the dollar in the 70s and even the early 80s. But when the Soviet Union fell, when the US and NATO became the sole superpower, they just started imposing dictatorial rules against all the weak countries, and they destroy everybody's economy, dude, just to make
I think
themselves super rich.
Diners don't
So to
want us
me, I don't think
African
if the
us
Americans were
Liberians
still
to
there,
be
they
in the
wouldn't have done
United
it to them.
States
They would have
where
done
he
it.
is. You don't want us to have the same opportunities that you do, Diners. You don't want us to be here.
No, but Elvis, again, this is my point. If the indigenous population was upset that the American Liberians controlled everything, and then after they took over the indigenous population, I go to Liberia and the Lebanese run everything.
But Daniels, they never took over though, man. They never took
told
over.
you this, right? They passed the law.
Doe took over. He didn't rule for too long. They killed him. But since Doe, he's been Ellen Johnson, Charles Taylor. He's been American Liberians has been really ruling.
But I don't know. I don't know if Diners knows
whoa,
there was a lot of Lebanese in Liberia during the time of the American Liberian. Do you know there was a lot of Lebanese there as well?
Hold on. Stop this, yo, Mike. Shirley Johnson's not an American Liberian. She's indigenous.
She's not. She's Daniels.
She's mixed. She's not American Liberian, but she's mixed. Her mother's father was German.
She's an American Liberian clan, though.
And her father is Gola. She's not American Liberian.
Okay, what is Liberia? What is Liberia without the history of American influence? If you can't come to this country and you have to stay in your actual country, how much more better would you do in your country than we would do here? How much different would you look than a black man and a woman in America? Would you look any different if you couldn't leave? You all would look the same as we look here. Without the influence of the European, their capitalist mindset. Our natural way of life is one thing. It's the capitalist mindset of a European who has to leave and conquer for him to survive. That's what we're looking at, but we're not analyzing it. You would be the same thing in Liberia had not America came over there. You all wouldn't be more advanced than black men and women in America. That's the question, would you?
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
But look, let me ask you this.
So that's why when Donis is asking the question about why don't you change your name, I see what it is. You don't have the will, the intent, and the fortitude to believe in yourself and stand on that new name and stand on that new platform without external help. You don't know a Liberia without external help. You don't know a country without the external help. So you don't have the will to say we are this and not that.
I mean, first of all, there's no way the American Liberians just came there without weapons, without nothing. Because first of all, after slavery, I don't think they were all coming with an army and everything by themselves and just start ruling over people. You know, they would have killed with some kind of help. You know, so they had the U.S. military and everybody behind them. So
the U.S. military came with the
United States have bases all over Liberia. Dude, during those days, Daniels. Liberia was the base of spy. Daniels, I'm telling you, I'm not ignorant African. I know my history very well.
Mike, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Liberia was a dumping ground for black slaves. Okay.
It was Sierra Leone that was the dumping ground. No, Liberia was a specific group of blacks the American government were bringing there. I'm telling you,
that's not true.
A specific elite group of black, like people that you like present day Condoleezza Rice, kind of like Susan Rice kind of people. They were back then. Those ones were even like children of most of them were children of slave masters.
Who's been the greatest leader of Liberia?
They were mulattoes.
Who's the greatest leader of Liberia to you? Who's the greatest leader?
Hobart.
I don't give a shit about. I mean, I don't think any of
No, but who's the greatest example of leadership from Liberia? What's the greatest example of leadership you believe?
If you ask me, if Liberians were united with Charles Taylor would probably be the greatest, to be honest.
Hold on. Elvis, answer that question. Who's the greatest example of leadership in Liberia? Go ahead, Elvis. Okay, I don't know. Okay, hold on. Gabele. Unmute yourself, Gabele. Unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, family? So, just to answer the question about who's like the best leader of Liberia or who are showing great leadership, personally for me, I would say President Turbo. President Turbo tried to integrate both parties, American Liberians and indigenous, and carry out so many policies. He even gave voting rights to indigenous Liberians. And personally, I also think that's when the U.S. government started to, rip Liberia apart. because President Turbo was not playing that games anymore. He was not listening to them. He was trying to unite Africa. He was trying to push Liberia forward as an independent country. And the U.S. government was trying to influence his policies. He disagreed with them on so many occasions. So, I mean, that's when Dole came to power. I believe the U.S. government had their hands in that. And then when Dole was not listening to the U.S. government as well, Dole was trying to push agriculture and build a Liberian economy. He was trying not to be a puppet. Again, Charles Taylor King, Charles Taylor himself said it through an interview that the U.S. government let him out of jail. He was in jail
We
in
know
the
that,
U.S.
but Carla won't admit it. We know
He
that.
was in jail in the U.S. and then
In Massachusetts.
went back to Liberia and then from Libya and then
They
that's
let
when
him.
the
The
war
reason they
started.
let him out of jail was to join Thomas Kuinpa in Sierra Leone to come to Liberia and overthrow Doe. But he was too late. They already went in and Kuinpa who's failed before Charles Taylor got in Liberia. So that was why he was let out of
Then
jail.
the same thing again. It's always been the U.S. trying to have full control of Liberia. Charles Taylor again, just the same way like Turbo and Doe tried to not listen to the U.S. advice, tried to not be a puppet. And you know how that goes. Ellen Johnson said he's coming to the picture. Again, if you understand Liberian history, you know that Eddie Johnson Sirleaf had connection with the U.S.
She was the financier for
and
the
had
war
connection
mostly.
in the war that played out. So Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came to power, the U.S. government pusher. And again, through the history, Eddie Johnson Sirleaf never won a single election in that country. Both elections were won by
George Weah.
George Weah.
No. The
Both
first election was
were
won by
won by
Weah. The
George
second
Weah.
one she actually won. But the first one Weah won it.
I disagree. The first one she lost, and then they tried and fake it out for a referendum, and then she actually won. So again, it's always been the U.S. trying to have control of Liberia because they want to have some type of power in West Africa, which they can use as a means to sideline any Pan-African leader within the region, just like the way they has always been doing with Nkrumah, trying to sideline Waku, any leader like Mugabe or Libyan leader Gaddafi. So
Can I ask you
that's
something?
what I would like to say.
Like
Can I
it's
ask you
sort of
something?
like having a state function like an embassy, like a whole country function like an embassy for them, sort of like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want
Hey,
to make this quick thing.
one second. The last African. Go ahead. Last African.
Oh, that's me.
Last African. Yeah, your name, right?
Right.
I'm the last African.
No, I'm the last. Right. But I've just been listening, Dynasty. Hey, what Uhuru? I've been listening, and a lot of it was like we separate ourselves, talking about how different countries, Africa, Liberia, Togo, Benin. You can say Ghana, all the different countries. We start thinking one Africa, and we can diminish all of that. That separatism that we talking about, because and from the title, my man, I worked with my man Zigbu, right, years back, and he told me when I asked him where he from, he did say that he was from Liberia, and that was the only country in Africa colonized by America. So that's the only proof.
Right. So last African, show me proof that America considered Liberia a colony.
That's the only site, and he is a Liberian. He's from Liberia, and I've worked with him. The brother said it, and he told me that that was the only country that was colonized by America. The only country in Africa.
So
last African, all I'm asking is just show me the proof where America considered it a colony. That's all I'm asking.
I understand what you're saying, Doctor.
If you go to Liberia, you see a place where they wrote, where they draw Liberian flag, American flag, and draw an handshake of a black man and a white man, and they wrote "America, our big brother."
No,
that is a fact. I'm not saying,
Mike,
they come to America, our big brother. It's like that, right?
He wants you to cite a sword.
I mean, what I'm trying to tell you, it's not like they left and just separated them with a white man and went to do things on their own. I mean, that's not the case, man. I mean, Sierra Leone was even more.
I look at it's on the web, Dynasty. It's on the web. America's African Nation. I looked at it, and that's where I got my knowledge.
No,
I'm not saying it's common. I'm saying the what they're talking, the politics of what they did to build a state. I'm not saying they colonized it, or I'm just saying what they're talking about. The information about Monroe and another 2 presidents, and Maryland. The state of Maryland actually had a group of people that was the same, and they named it over there in Liberia. They've been doing it. It's just the politics of how it was done. I went and looked at it while the show was going on. I was looking at, America colonizing Liberia and, how it started. I took time out and I went and looked, and I just didn't want to get off to go. I didn't know how to put it on the chat, but I did look at from Monroe to a couple of presidents. They have been working on that state over there, trying to infiltrate that state the way they have by raising money with the ACS and then Maryland has a society. There's a group of people in Maryland that had a society. They did the same thing. They raised money and they started, and they named some of the places over there after the people over here. That's how they've been doing it through private sector and government.
Mr. Robert, I know the history. All I'm
Yes,
asking
sir.
for is an
No,
official
I'm not saying.
document from the United States of America saying, "Hey, this is our colony." That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
But to be fair with you, to be fair with the American Liberians, the American Liberians were not actually on their own. We're not actually separate, pushing away the native Liberians. It was the policy of the U.S. led government people. They were pushing, making the same way they were doing in other African countries. They were pushing the locals away from the capital and all those areas. It was their policy. It wasn't the American Liberians' policy. But the American Liberians took it as it was the blacks that came that were pushing them away. But in the case of Sierra Leone, for example, in the case of Sierra Leone, let me land, man. In the case of Sierra Leone, when the black came from diaspora, they didn't push the locals away. They were just working with the locals. But in Liberia, it was a policy of the U.S. government to not allow the locals to come near their environment and things like that. So when the U.S. Dynasty, I'm gonna tell you, when the U.S. abandoned Liberia, when they left the American Liberians to be fully in charge after World War II in that area, the American Liberians started bringing the locals in. That's when they started bringing them into the government, because it's not the nature of Black Americans. It wasn't the nature of Black Americans to go to Africa and separate themselves from Africa.
Mike, when you get the document, Mike, when you get the document, just email it to me. All right, I appreciate it. Go ahead, email. Go ahead, email.
Lord. All right, so boom. Like I said earlier, Liberia was set up because white people didn't, after the Civil War, white people didn't want us here, for real. So it was mostly set up to send us back to either Liberia. It was going to send us back to Haiti or to Dominican Republic too, because you got a group of black people over there, Black Americans over there too. You understand? But like some people said, Liberia wasn't really hands-on. The British Empire was hands-on with Sierra Leone. Liberia was like a backwater, so they were never hands-on. America was never hands-on with Liberia. You hear me? So that's
after the Civil War. America actually wanted black people here because they needed the label.
No,
they needed the black people's label. Remember sharecroppers and all those things? They needed the label.
All over the place, Mike, all over the place. Mike, hold on, Mike. Mike, hold on. I'm gonna turn my screen. I'm gonna show you a book. All right, I want you to find this book right here, Mike. So
just like Kala wrote a book, you know. People write books, man. You guys should start going by some individual to just write something. That's why we're all lost, because we go reading books written by people. Anybody can write a book, man. Even Kala is writing a book right now. I bet you in that book is gonna be a bunch of bullshit.
Right here, Liberty brought us here. The true story of American slaves who migrated to Liberia. Go and read that.
Once you read it, now I have to accept everything in it as a fact.
Go and read that, Mike.
Should I go read Kala's book too and accept everything in that book as a fact? I mean, come on, man. Documentation of what I learned in my own West African
history, dude.
Based on things, our government obviously did document things that were happening during that time, and that's where I learned my own history from. The West African history, the way we were taught about West Africa was that Sierra Leone was established for return slave, and Liberia was established by the U.S. government as a
by the
base.
British, by the British. Sierra Leone was
The
established by the
Sierra Leone,
British.
yeah, because at that time
And it
British
was
were the only
documented.
people that were actually trying
And it
to
was
stop slave
documented.
trade going on.
And Mike, it was well documented. Like it was no confusion. The British established Sierra Leone.
Well, there may be some flaws in it, not the entire. I'm not going to tell you the fact, but I'm telling you what I learned. It may be bullshit as well.
One mic. What I'm telling you is, it was no confusion. It was documented. Britain considered Sierra Leone a colony. It was no confusion. All I'm asking for, and you keep talking in circles, where does the United States of America consider Liberia a colony? That's all I'm asking for.
Oh,
it was set up as a proxy nation, kind of like they set up Israel. They would tell you, listen, Israel.
You're moving.
It's a colony. It's a colony. It was their colony because everybody was blaspheming.
You're moving the goalposts.
It's the same thing. It's a colony. The definition of a colony is the definition of a colony. Dennis, let me tell you something, man.
Mike, dude, I'm just asking for a simple document, man. I'm just asking for a document.
Can you have a number 2 on this stuff? Can you have a number 2 on this stuff?
The continent of Africa during that time, right? Europeans were all grasping for territories.
Mike, you act like I don't know history, Mike. I'm asking for a
document.
The
America set up. Okay, listen to me.
For a document.
Well, we have to use common sense is even more important than documents. Common sense.
I want a document like that the United States of America considered Liberia colony.
The United States of America in Liberia, they were there. The white people were there. They had an embassy there.
Mike. Listen, Mike. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove you from the conversation.
No, don't do that. I know what you're trying to do now.
No, I'm just asking for. I'm just asking for a document. Like, it's no confusion. Sierra Leone was colonized by Britain. It's documented. It's in the history. There's no confusion. I'm just asking for a document. Where is the documents where the United States of America said Liberia is our colony? That's all I'm asking for. That's all I want.
It's never a colony.
That's all I want.
Dynasty.
Go ahead.
Dynasty, I think I know what you're saying now. Back in the military, they had an expression that said, if it ain't on paper, it don't mean shit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's not what I'm. But again, when you studied it, yes and no. Yes,
you know, America gonna document stuff too, regardless of the fact. So I don't. Where's the information? America had documentation back. They documented.
Yeah, they had documents. Like, it was there. Like,
true.
This is what happened. All right, let me give you the history. America had the Negro problem. They didn't know what to do with the Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
Certain suggestions were given. Take them to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And you had the American Colonization Society.
Yeah.
All right, but their intent was not to colonize Liberia. It was to dump the Negroes off in Liberia.
Thank you.
All right.
Right.
They raised money. Okay. They provided a boat trip, a one-way ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And they dumped them. Okay. They gave them minimum resources. All right. And that was it.
Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't hands-on.
That was it.
It was never hands-on.
Well, quick question. Quick question. Were these the people left over from the Garvite, the UNIA?
This like they had people from all over the South.
Before that? Okay.
Yeah. Abolitionists was pushing it too. The abolitionist movement pushed it too.
The abolitionists were like, let's find a home for these Negroes. All right. So literally, you had abolitionists kind of going door to door, saying, "Hey, we're raising money to, In fact, you got abolitionists say, "Hey, slave master, free your Negroes. We got this project we're working on over at the American Colonization Society. We're raising money to send the Negroes to Liberia," and that's what happened.
Okay.
I mean, but basically what you have people like Mike and people like Elvis saying is that the United States of America was giving Liberia like $1 billion a year like they do Israel. And that's just they weren't. And if they were, and if they were, like I'm saying, just show me the paperwork. we all know that the United States of America is giving money to Ukraine, giving money to Israel, giving money for this, giving money for that. So I'm just saying, listen, just show me the paperwork. Where's it documented? I mean, Liberia was a dumping ground, and what these Black
Mhm.
Americans were able to accomplish. I mean, listen, when they got there, Liberians were participating in the slave trade. They were
Mm.
still selling them to white people. All right.
Mm.
I mean, I told the story from the beginning. They were like, so when the Americans came, they would build their homes. You know, they would have their items that were shipped from America. The indigenous population would come and rob them. The Pookies and Ray Rays of the indigenous population would come and rob them. And again, it wasn't perfect. I'm not saying the Americans didn't discriminate. I'm not saying that. But the problem is, when it comes to America Liberia, they want to make it seem as if tribalism started and ended with these Black Americans who came to Liberia. That's the problem. And it's like, no, it wasn't perfect, but the way they exaggerate, it's ridiculous. And then when you ask one question, what happened after the 1982 when the indigenous population took over? And they got every excuse. Well, this happened, that happened. Oh man, we just couldn't do this. I mean, they got every excuse in the book for when you ask one question.
But
What happened when you guys took over in 1980? They got every excuse in the book.
mm.
So that's pretty much what it is. Somebody put in the chat room. In fact, hold on. Let me pull this back up. Hold on. Let me pull this back up. See, we're gonna break it down with facts today. Hold on one second. Let me share it. I'm gonna read this again. This is what was going on. This is what was going on. This is part of the stuff that was going on. Let me share this real quick. Hold on one second. All right, so we could really break this down. Hold on one second. All right, I'm gonna read this. Local opinion could not prevent Haas will from sending approximately 100 bondsmen to the utopian settlement. In December 1834, they proceeded to the 700-acre tract purchased from Bassa leader King Joe Harris. So this was an indigenous king who adopted a European name, the same Europeans who he was selling other Africans to. All right.
Mm.
Slave
Oh
traders
man.
active. Okay, let me finish. Slave traders active in Bassa country persuaded Joe Harris to destroy the settlement. So basically, what's going on when the Americo Liberians showed up, indigenous Liberians were still participating in the slave trade,
That's crazy.
selling Africans, to white people.
Oh, that's crazy.
All right.
And then adopted himself to a white family.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So the Americans are doing this, that, and other. Man, you guys have been sold out. That's how we got here in the first place.
We
Mm.
got him today.
All
We
right.
got him today. Now.
Right.
Yeah.
So here we go.
We got him today.
Slave traders active in Bassa country persuaded Joe Harris to destroy the settlement. So basically, the other slave traders went to him and said, "Hey, these Black Americans are interfering with our slave trade. This is good money.
Mm.
This is big business. We still got to keep this slave trade going. We don't care if the Black Americans are there. Get rid of them." And so what happened? Hold on. On the night of June 10th, 1835, Bassas, led by King Joe Harris, attacked the settlement, set fire to the buildings, and massacred 22 members of the immigrant party. When
Dang.
news of the massacre reached Monrovia, the colonies. I said colony. Okay, guys, I said colony, not colonize. Colonies. Okay, guys, colony has a number of meanings. Okay, does not mean colonize. A colony does not mean colonized. Okay, the colony's acting agent, Petersburg-born Nathaniel Brander, declared a war that lasted 6 months and forced King Joe Harris to promise to make restitution, to abandon the slave trade, and to submit territorial disputes to the colonial authorities at Monrovia. This was a political and military success for the young colony, but a personal disaster for many of the immigrants and far from what the Aled Haas had envisioned. As for William Grimes, his persistence and ultimate success in attempting to escape slavery made his later life as a free man in the North, however, limited and enviable contrast to the sufferings of a group of people he had once known. So, stuff like that was going on.
My thing is, Liberia would have been better, I guess, for Tober. That's my thing. So I don't know. I don't get it. It would have been better, I guess, under Tober.
Yeah. So that was going on. Hold on.
So, all right. So why? I don't know. So we keep talking about the same topic. Is anything being done, I guess, to develop Liberia? That's my thing. I'm not, are they developing it or what?
It's developing.
All right. Okay.
All right, but yeah, guys, listen, we're gonna close out. Hold on. There's brother Big Foe. My bad, Big Foe. Unmute yourself, Big Foe.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Yeah, no, I think I probably missed where I was going at. But first, shout out to you, Big Out, great show. It was just with what Kala was saying and the whole Liberia thing. I'm down with even looking at it and taking like the exceptional parts of what they did and applying it like we could with every culture that we have that's been successful that we can take something from. But just because of that doesn't necessarily, and I know you just finished saying this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to it doesn't have to be paradise. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like on today's show we're shooting a little bit of bail to them, So it's like even if there were some behaviors that we would not want to repeat again, there can still be some proper shit that we can take from what was done there. So that's just basically where I'm standing on it. Like, I'm not against anything. I think that we definitely, it's a republic, and it's more the potential. That's how I look at Liberia. I look at it as like the potential of what could have been. So we can look at it, we can kind of pick up the parts that worked, and move with that. But running a government is not easy, and I think that's another thing that we think. Like when we say like why didn't the government all of a sudden become great after the revolution? You said in 1980. Well, running a government, if you get 20 people right now and you put them all in a room and you try to make a government, and if I give you guys a week to do it, the government you're probably going to create, if you're just brainstorming off the top of your head, it'll be fascism or some crazy shit. So in order to get a government that works, it takes centuries. Like something like Mali or any of those places that had good organizations, they didn't just happen overnight. We don't have the record of how they got to there, but that stuff doesn't happen overnight. So at the same time, we have to be a little bit merciful to our leaders, because like, it's not the simplest thing. Like you take someone like Sekou Touré, I think he was probably one of the people, like what you were saying, that went to Liberia to get his education, right? But look at what he ended up being, right? He was, in the beginning, he was totally idealistic, but he was like 30 years old when he took over that government, right? And so he did some great things because he was taking back the spirit of his grandfather's, Samori Touré, right? Sekou Touré, his grandfather. So he had some of that impetus. He was a really charismatic and powerful leader. But when you have all these different people from all these different Europeans or even sellouts or whatever everywhere, it's like it doesn't take long for your paranoia to turn you into a dictator. So I'm saying all that to say that we can always take little parts from things. We can look at the specific details of things and be all right with it. But we don't have to turn it necessarily into a utopia. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to think of like that the Liberians did everything perfect for me to be able to take something from them, So that's all I got.
Yeah, man. Well, hey guys, I enjoyed it. I appreciate it. You know, we're gonna have this conversation again, of course. So until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Peace.
Peace, yo.